Isn't that good?
I can throw to row one.
August 11th, the Westminster Education Special
I could
Meeting
throw
Board.
a few.
After the public comments, the board please complete and review the public comment card from the state. We will call on you in order that we receive them. We will receive public comments right after I give you this little speech, which is item number 2. Public comments are an opportunity for community to come before the board. There is no dialogue. All study sessions, special meetings, and business meetings of the school board are conducted in public and always offer an opportunity to come before the public, to come before the board. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes each. So we will kick off right into agenda item number 2, which is our public comments. And the first one is Susan Emily.
Thank you for this opportunity to speak. Do you recall way back at the beginning of the Roosevelt saga when most of you voted to accept the incredibly low bid of $93,000 to abate Roosevelt rather than approximately the $815,000 Arch had estimated? Do you remember Carol Finkelstein, who had experience in the construction business, saying to you, you know that bid will never cover a safe demolition. You're just fooling the public with these numbers when you know you need to pay way more to safely demolish when the time comes. Well, the time is now here, and Carol's warning was prophetic. Christian Sonneville has dedicated close to 2 years gathering facts and putting together data on Roosevelt safety issues. He's made a crystal clear case for why thorough testing on the building, including the roof, urgently needs to be done before any other action is taken. And he has even generously offered to pay for it. His documents are in the public eye for all to see. You all have had access to the solid evidence of how dangerous your current demolition plan is. Do you recall Carol Finkelstein also said, you were each elected as individuals to think for yourselves. You should not be abdicating your own research and decisions to any committee. She was referencing the committee formed to make decisions on the fate of Roosevelt. So I ask each of you to acknowledge that you alone are responsible for your action or inaction in protecting the health of 2,765 residents of Keego Harbor and all neighboring communities. You're also responsible for any permanent environmental damage you cause to the area, including the waterways, the lakes, and all the way to the Clinton River watershed. With your seriously inadequate abatement and demolition plan, Keego Harbor may become the next Flint. Each one of you individually has the ability to either poison or protect us. You will each be held individually accountable for any harm that you cause. You can use your power to fix this right now before it's too late. Thank you.
Thank you. And David?
So I want to first start to say that I'm not wearing a Roosevelt shirt because it's Dream Cruise Week. And for me to be here instead of Gino's is significant because I moved to Detroit 40 plus years ago to be in the auto industry, and this is religion to me. That's how serious this meeting is for me. So, $4 million deficit, a $2.5 million offer, and no consideration at all talked at the budget meeting. All it was talked about was cuts and how many people might get cut, but we don't want to talk about that to scare people. Nobody talked about the $2.5 million offer. So, as my wife stated, a $90,000 abatement isn't adequate. In the letter that I forwarded to you that was posted on Keego Harbor's website last week, stated that no demolition is risk-free. What is the most risk-free to any old building is to encapsulate and keep. That's what's risk-free. That's guaranteed. Nothing else is guaranteed. And you guys have that power to keep that risk-free for our community. Eagle said that the entire second and third floor needed to be abated. That's not what the $90,000 quote did. That's what was in the letter, that you guys should be doing the second and third floor. So you need to get a quote, and that's what you need to be voting on, not 2 classrooms and a custodial closet. So what are the benefits? I don't understand, because you want to spend $600,000 is what you think, and we think it's a whole lot more, but you could pocket $2.5 million. It makes no sense. So selling the building will add people to your community, which is what gives you students, and that's what everybody wants. It's almost immediate, because they're going to renovate the building and put classrooms in, and it's safe that they're not going to have any kind of charter school, because I read the purchase agreement. It's clearly stated there was going to be nothing but community space in there, and if they didn't do that, you could take it back. That's what the offer was for $2 million and 1.7. So selling the building would inject money, and the decision of 12 people that don't even live in Keego Harbor, and 9 of them don't even live in the school district, our fate of our little community was in these people's hands. It just doesn't make sense. So I'm offering, what I'm begging you guys to do is reconsider, get the actual quotes so you know what you're dealing with. Your own estimate said with the land by itself was $1.2 million. The land with the building was $500,000. You have a $2.5 million offer, way over what you think it's worth without the building, spending nothing. So why wouldn't you take that? Thank you.
Vera?
Hello. I also was going to the pre-cruise, wasn't gonna come here, but I still want the same thing. I say it every single time. I want to have the building repurposed. I want something done with it. I don't want it getting demolished. It's very significant to our community. I don't want some crappy condos. I don't want strip malls. I mean, there's nothing good to replace it. There's just nothing that can replace a building like that. And I don't even want to discuss the asbestos issue. Truthfully, I don't really understand that type of stuff. I leave that for the men. I have a daddy in the construction business, and he tells me that that's not safe, truthfully. And I believe it. Asbestos is never safe. It's not just concerning us, adults. It's concerning the kids. It's concerning the pets, okay? The environment, everything. So I put down, call me, right? But I don't want to talk about, how it's going to be okay and, it's just going to get demolished and everything's going to be okay. I don't want that. I want to talk about strategy and considering something before we go and demolish it. I know you guys are going to bring the trucks in anytime soon. I was there all day. I was sitting across from the park and I was just watching because I was waiting when they're going to come. They're going to start bringing their equipment, cutting trees down. I mean, why? Why? And there's so many people walking around with the secret of, oh, you'll understand later, or there's something I know that other people don't know. But I want to know what it is before, you look at me like I'm crazy. I keep coming here, I keep asking for the same thing, but I don't know what's going on and why you're doing this. Thank you.
Christian, something?
Board members, Dr. Bassi and Mr. Castiglione, welcome. I just have a few questions. First for the board. Now that the litigation is over, okay, thankfully over, congratulations. But I was surprised that Dr. Bassi told me that any communications need to be continued between our lawyers. I have no idea why that is. The litigation is over, finished, finito. I have no lawyer. So I would ask the board to please check into this when you have your open discussion to see why that is, that the litigation is still open? No. Then I have a few questions for Mr. Castiglione, and maybe Mr. Castiglione will have the opportunity, while he's talking to you later on, for the answers to my questions. The first question that I have is, since TMP under-designed the middle school lockers.
I'm gonna stop you right now, because one, you're here to address the board, and two, they have nothing to do with the middle school. That was not, I've said it many times, they are not the architect of the middle school. It was French Associates.
Was another company?
Yes,
Well,
I
then
said
the
it multiple
then
times,
the-
and you are here to address the board, not TMP or anything else.
Okay. First time I heard you speak.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. Now, when TMP, I'm talking to you, when TMP called Mrs. Densmore of the Treasury Department to pave the way for the pre-qualification of the 2023 bond issue, why was the Michigan Treasury Department told by Mr. Castiglione that Roosevelt was only temporarily closed due to safety reasons, when TMP knew that the district had already decided to permanently close and demolish Roosevelt a few days before that telephone call took place? I know a lot. TMP knows better than anybody that qualifying for a bond issue to finance a large multi-million-dollar redistricting project requires an in-depth study of the potential impact and the consequences. According to the Treasury, the truth about the planned demolition would have required much more information about the justification of a demolition and an in-depth assessment of the permanent and impact on Roosevelt, on the demolition, on the Keeper Harbor people, the surrounding region, its families, local businesses, infrastructure, transportation, traffic, buses, logistics, not to mention the ultimate demolition and asbestos hazards. It would also require a study of the anticipated impact on enrollments, implications for families that were planning to or were in the process of moving to Keeper Harbor, enticed by the proximity of a walkable school.
Thank you.
None of this took
Christian,
place,
thank you.
and I will never
Christian?
forgive you for not doing this.
Listen to the buzzer and follow the rules of.
Yeah, but you interrupted me, and I owe those 5 seconds.
Okay.
Thank you.
Luann?
Numbers are an interesting study. By the way, the invention of 1 through 9 are attributed to the Arabs. Each numeral's value was based on the number of angles in their symbols. And later, Indian mathematician astronomer Aryabhatu added the 0. The number I'm most concerned with is 3. 3 minutes to relate information. Since half of you do not have children attending district schools, I hope you appreciate that the public takes the time to bring items of concern to your attention. I won't suggest the number of times I brought something before you, but the number of responses for my efforts is 1. An email saying that my concern should have been directed to the middle school principal, which garnered 0 replies. Although we have imperfect testing, scores give us a comparison that we can and should be useful in making decisions and choices. Of the more or less the thousands of school districts in the state of Michigan, according to U.S. News and World Report, West Bloomfield School District ranks 172nd. More troubling is that they rank our middle school at 348. After an investment of $59 million for a new building and $2 million for a new sports field, it would seem that old construction wasn't the problem, since our test scores remain close to the state average. And now we're investing an estimated $43.5 million to replace Chico Elementary. Do we really believe that our focus should be on brick and mortar to make a difference in our student achievement? And our biggest worry should be $4 million, the operating deficit we face for the upcoming school year. No district can continue to sustain a negative budget. Although the state legislature is dragging its feet, did we really expect them to bail us out with a figure that high? Those costs are compounded by the cold reality of a declining student population. Yet somehow we refuse to address the fact that we have an asset that we no longer need or want, one that is of interest to developers. This board voted to allocate $93,000 to abate asbestos with an additional $465,000 to demolish Roosevelt. Currently, the highest offer to purchase is $2.2 million. If you add the cost to abate and demolish to the offer, we are at more than twice the value of that vacant lot with all the added effort. It's time to take a realistic look at these numbers and do what's right by the residents of Keego Harbor as well as all the taxpayers of this district. And with the court case settled, the cloak of silence has been lifted. You're now free to tell us exactly why you refuse to accept such a lucrative offer rather than sell and use those funds to help balance the budget. We deserve the truth.
Thank you. Christie Locke. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. Good evening, members of the board. Ryan Ridenauer, the WBEA president, is camping, so he is unable to make it today. So lucky you, you get Christie Locke, newly elected vice president of our WBEA. We want to first thank you for your patience, as we know tonight's vote is happening closer to the start of the school year than usual. However, after 13 days, 104 hours of interest-based bargaining, we are excited to have a TA that was ratified by our membership on Monday, August 4th. This TA includes many positive changes that are excellent for students and staff. We wanted to highlight just a few of the important issues we've addressed in the new TA as you consider your vote tonight. We adopted a new, more competitive pay scale to attract and retain the best educators possible. A calendar that includes Eid as a school-sponsored holiday, something we know is very important to our community. More prep time for our elementary staff to be able to implement a variety of new curricular resources with Fidelity. The continuation of the Behavior Task Force as student behavior continues to be an important topic at all levels, and added supports for our ancillary staff who build up our highest need students. Our work entailed much more than I shared here tonight, but we are aware Mr. Whitney will also be sharing details of the TA with you later this evening. We just wanted to be sure you all knew that this TA has our EA's support. We're also excited to share that for the first time since 2006, this contract will cover 2 years without the condition of a required wage reopener 1 year in. This will provide predictability, calendars, and stability for our staff and leadership. We urge the board to approve this TA as a stepping stone towards better educational experience for everyone in the WBSD community. Thank you on behalf of the WBEA and me for your time tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Locke.
Thank you.
Is there more?
Yeah, 1:20, I told you, I timed it.
Okay, I mean, wait, you gotta share that energy, I think.
Somebody following that.
I'll do my best.
Hello.
I do appreciate it. Okay. So, oh no, my little notes are gone. Well, so half of what I was gonna write is gone off my page, but here's what I can tell you. So, litigation has cleared, our big sale bank accounts, our piggy banks are pretty empty, so I'm sure some of you feel some relief that that has passed. And I can only hope that in the time that we've all been taking a pause for that to clear, that everything that we've said over these many, many months, and we continue to come here and speak to you, has sunk in. While I have found you all delightful and have enjoyed the many things I've learned about the Board of Education, I do not come here for lack of things to do with my life and my time. And admittedly, the comments from our community get a little passionate and creative from time to time. We're doing all of that to try to get your attention because the things that we are concerned about are very, very valid. And I can tell you because I've watched my neighbors incessantly research and look over paperwork and do so much diligence that I know that you have not had the time to do.
And I understand that, but I'm begging you to please take a closer look at, revisit what you're about to do, the information you had at the time the decision was made, and the information that has come forward since. And I am sure everyone had their very best intentions in how this path progressed and what happened, but the abatement is based on this much asbestos, and the demolition paperwork got to Eagle or whoever based on a renovation and not a demolition. It all merits more review. And the last thing I will say to you is, the letter of the law keeps you legal, yes, but the spirit of the law is what makes you worthy of public trust. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We're going to agenda item number 3, and it's our enrichment and recreation coordinator approval. Mr. Mayor, can you? Deputy Superintendent, Sales Development and Management will address the board.
Am I putting it on the screen?
I got it right here.
Okay, life is good. We have a lot of great things to bring to you tonight, starting with this one. So thank you for having me. I am very excited. I know Andrea Frank is excited as well to be talking about our enrichment and recreation coordinator. So we have a recommendation for hire this evening and a contract for the board to approve. I am very excited to introduce Kevin McIntosh. Kevin is sitting in the back row, hiding over there. So this position of enrichment and recreation coordinator was vacated when, if you remember, when Andrea Frank was promoted to the public relations and marketing supervisor. We embarked on a pretty thorough search. We had a great response to this. We had some outstanding candidates, and the result is that Kevin McIntosh rose to the top of the heap. Many of you may recognize Kevin from his most recent role. Do you know his face? His work at Civic Center TV, where he serves as host on The Splash. He's a multimedia producer as well. I don't know if you know this, though, prior to his work at Civic Center TV, Kevin was a promotions director, a music director, interim coordinator for McDonald Broadcasting in Lansing for 7 years, and a marketing specialist for Ashley Home Store. Kevin earned his Bachelor of Science degree in Communications from Eastern Michigan University. He also has a diploma in Broadcast Media Arts from Specs Howard School of Media Arts. In this new role in our school district, Kevin would use his extensive skills, his experience, I say his creative energy. He has a lot of energy, and I think you'll enjoy getting to know him. He will do an exceptional job at guiding that enrichment and recreation programming, as well as to continue to grow and help with the impact of our public relations and marketing programs. So that position is shared between kind of both roles. It's a little bit of everything. So I'm very happy to recommend Kevin McIntosh.
Okay, we have a motion. Julie.
I move to approve the hiring of Kevin McIntosh as Enrichment and Recreation Coordinator effective August 12, 2025 per the terms and conditions of the enclosed employment contract for enclosure 3.
Move the second. Nick. A motion to approve the hiring of Kevin McIntosh as Enrichment and Recreation Coordinator effective August 12, 2025 per the terms and conditions of the enclosed employment contract for enclosure 3 has been moved and seconded. Are there any additional questions or comments? Kristen.
Well, I approve, or I support the hiring of Kevin McIntosh. I know that we've talked, or we've heard that there's an attrition model, and we've yet to see the attrition model and what that looks like. And so, moving forward, I would like to have an update on that.
Okay, anybody else? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes 7-0. Welcome aboard, Mr. McIntosh.
Now you notice that was effective August August 12th, so he will be starting tomorrow. Like, we waited. Now we're like, get to work.
Thank you all.
So thank you, Gordon. We're really excited to have you.
Thank you.
I see you have your family here.
Congratulations, thank you.
Thank you
Welcome
so
aboard.
much.
All right, welcome.
Team WB.
Smile and wave, you're good.
Yeah, if the board, if there's really no objection, can I move off agenda item number 13 to now, which is just the, I'm not pouring right now. I am, it's the budget, not the budget, the budget to action. Does anyone have a problem with that, so Nancy, that we take care of something, okay. Does anyone have a problem? No. All right, Nancy, you can go, and then you can deal with what you have to do. TMP, just, it'll be quick.
I'm so fast.
Okay. Okay, so tonight we have two budget actuals, one for the last month of 24-25 fiscal year, June, and then we also have July, the first month of our new fiscal year. And again, these numbers, we just started our audit today, these numbers are not complete, so the June numbers will change, there will be some changes still. But as we look at this, you can see in revenue, for total, we are at 2.14%. And we have a balance of 1.7 million. A lot of that is related to the fact that we received a lot of state grants. A lot of those we received near the end of the fiscal year, and we're not able to spend them all in the fiscal year. So you are required to defer that revenue to the next fiscal year. So even though we did receive it, we have to defer it and we cannot recognize it. So that's why we have 1.7 million balance in revenue. You can see we have a large federal revenue. There's quite a large discrepancy between the 2 years. The main reason for that is our ESSER money that we had remaining last year. We had a receivable last year of just over $700,000 for ESSER 2 that we did not receive in fiscal year 23-24, and we received it in 24-25. That difference. And down in expenditures, there's a large variance in instructional staff support. Right now. And again, as I mentioned, we received section 35J at the end of fiscal year 24. It was $626,000, which carried over to fiscal year 25. So that's why we have a large unexpended balance in 24.
So just for the board's knowledge, the audit it started this week. Once it's complete, the audit presentation will take place in October, and we'll be able to provide an update in terms of what the actual budget is. Again, everything is kind of an estimate. There's things that are budgeted for example, we send students out to programs, right? Well, 1 year I might have to send 10 students out to a program, and it could cost $50,000 a student. That's $500,000.
the special ed program.
Special ed programming, right? So we always base it on a 5-year average in terms of program expenses, but we tend to spend a little bit less because unless it's a year where we had a high number, higher than the average, you start to see those things. So my point is that, as I said, we started the year with an operating deficit on paper. We will end this year with an operating surplus. That's just the nature of budgeting. Myself and Nancy are both conservative when we budget. So what you start with at the start of the year is just not what you end with at the end of the year. So rather than, panicking and making cuts that really, we could have started last year thinking we had to make $2.7 million in cuts, but we're operating at a surplus. So that's why you have a fund balance, to give you that flexibility. So, in October, when we come to that, that will be seen.
Anyone else
else have any questions for Nancy? It's always a little wonky in July anyhow. Yeah, so here's, so this is July. We're very consistent with where we were last year in July. You can see most of the revenue that we received at this point is local revenue, and we start to receive our taxes from our 4 taxing authorities. And then as far as instruction, we really have very little instructional expense in the summer. We have some summer school going on. And then, again, we're very consistent with our support services. And very consistent in total with where we were last year. Deborah, do you have a question?
I did. You mentioned the $700,000 that was reported in the paper that we weren't going to get, so we did get it. So can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yes, so that was a receivable at the end of June 30th, 24. That was a receivable. We received this money in May, end of May. So we did not recognize the revenue last year. There's a rule in governmental accounting, you have to have it within 60 days. We did not receive it within 60 days of the year end. So we deferred the revenue, and when we received it this year, at the end of the year, we recognized the revenue this year.
So we received the full amount, and where did that money go? I'm looking at 2,006,700. Is it that number there?
It is a federal revenue, so that's where that number is.
So it's in the line of $2,627,000, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, that's pretty.
Okay, so explain to me too that if we receive $700,000 in that particular line, then our remaining is still only 25%? Tell me about the expenditures that go in there. That it seems like it would jump like, wow, we just received
That was
$700,000.
included in this, that revenue was included in the Second Amendment, so it's part of the $2.9 million budget that we expected to receive.
So
The one we approved in June, that's what.
So so you had a deferred revenue.
It was deferred revenue as of 6/30/24.
Okay, and then you moved it in your amended time, you moved it back into the budget
Yes,
as a,
yep, to recognize the revenue. Yes.
okay, as you said, okay.
Thank you very much. Have a good night. Agenda item number 4 is our TMP project design updates. We have Ron Marekna, Assistant Superintendent of School Admin and Innovation, John Castellano, and Bill Weinrich from TMP World Festival. Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm going to take the lead on Doherty. I'm going to do this one, and Bill's going to talk about the high school.
Okay.
All right? So, we gave you a preview. I can't remember how many months ago that was, as far as when we were in early design at that point in time. And right now, we have completed design and development, and we are now working on the final contract documents that will actually be the ones that contractors will bid from. And that is going out, I can't remember, Bill, probably September, October-ish, and time frame for that to happen. So this is a good time for us to give you an update, give you a feel of what the building is going to look like. So the site plan, Walnut Lake Road is on the right-hand side of this drawing. There's a traffic light right here, right now. We're maintaining that light and maintaining a drive coming through. Buses will come in and they'll circulate around this new loop that we're building, and then they will come out to the light and they can either go east or west at that light. Parents will come in and circulate all the way around the building with specific areas where they can drop off the kids or pick up the kids at dismissal time. One of the things that we were looking at early on and observing out there, it's really interesting when you observe the traffic on Walnut Lake Road. You're trying to get into the Doherty site right now. It's really tied up on the roadway. And one of the major guiding principles was to get that traffic off of the roadway and bring it into the site so that it's really self-contained from that standpoint. The roadway is a one-way loop going all the way around, and for larger events, we have, there's some existing, well, this is where parking is right now, we're modifying it slightly. We're building new parking up here, and then if there's a large event going on, this is wide enough that we can have parallel parking all the way around that. So we really maximize the amount of parking that is on site and not dependent on off-site areas. Just a similar drawing, which just shows you that loop. The building footprint is here, and really because of the geometry of the roadway and all, it's really formed the footprint of the building. We have play fields here. The Rouge River runs through the property, and it's just beautiful back there. It's just gorgeous. And if you haven't gone on a walk through that area, it's absolutely spectacular. You know, the first time that we went out there was incredible to be able to walk through, and wow, this is really beautiful. So we want to be able to maintain, obviously, the Rouge. There's wetlands, there's different areas that we really can't touch, but we're looking at creating a bridge or a walkway that goes over the Rouge River to be able to link the south side of the site with some outdoor play areas and then the open play field that is back there at that point in time. Floor plan wise, the main entry, Walnut Lake Road again is on the right-hand side. Main entry coming into the site. On the west side, we have dining, we have kitchen, we have gymnasium, we have the eye center and steam area, a lot of the larger areas. And then on the east side of the building are all of the class areas. And the class areas are on 2 levels, very similar to Chico. The typical classroom has an intermittent space in between, which becomes a safe area. That if there's inclement weather or something else happening within the site that's designed to allow students to go into that particular safe area. Same module that we're using at Chico, so there's continuity from that standpoint. The upstairs, all of the class area, these are grades 3, 4, and 5 are upstairs. Downstairs is K prep and kindergarten, first and second grader on the first level. This is special education resource area. Down below that on the main level is the main administrative area coming into the building. A view from Walnut Lake Road coming on into the site. The materials of the building are predominantly brick, some metal, and some what appears to be wood, but it's a composite material that, again, the site is beautiful with all the trees. We wanted to make something that was a lot more organic and more natural feeling for the site. The main entry is denoted with this form, and that's all timber construction. It's all going to be Douglas fir that is milled here in Michigan and will come out to the site as those large trusses, and that forms the main circulation corridor of the school. Just some other views of the site. An aerial view looking as if you were on the south side of the site, flying over. You see the play space here. This is art, eye center, and STEAM. And you see the bridge going over. Now we're looking at a couple of different options for the bridge. Whether this one is freestanding, but if you've been to a golf course, you've seen those walkways that actually go over wetland areas, and you're allowed to actually penetrate into the wetland area. So we're looking at both of those kinds of options. Obviously, that is a lot less expensive than a freestanding bridge going all the way across. But having the connectivity to be able to go from play field to the larger play areas on a straight line. Plus, because the site has the natural attributes, having a more of an environmental science curriculum, and we've talked to Daniel about that, as far as being able to do some experimentation at the Rouge. Right now, there's a lot of vines and there's a lot of wild growth that we want to be able to clean out. We've been working with Eagle on that as well. Another view of the play space.
Apple Island,
Pardon?
can't forget Apple Island.
Apple Island, yeah. There's a broad terrace right off of the steam and the ice center so that kids can actually come outside, and you're up about 5 feet from the surface of the play space. So we're looking over it and into the Rouge area. We've really conceptualized the building, and we have a whole series of different nomenclature for different parts of it. On the first level, the administrative area we're dubbing the lodge. The dining space is the campgrounds. The steam and ice center is the woodlands. The main circulation spine that's going through there, we're calling it the Northern Lights. And then the classrooms on the main level, the forest understory, thinking about the tree and the undergrowth of the tree, and then up above is the forest canopy. And again, the Northern Lights go all the way through that space. So here's some interior views. I don't think you saw these last time, but we've been working on them. You get a much better feel for what that main circulation spine is looking. And you're looking to the north right here, so that is the main entry. From there, you can go right into the office area. And we have a learning stair. Chico has a learning stair, the middle school has a learning stair, and it's right dead center within that concourse area with a large monitor across the way from it. You see the view of that here.
I see the imprint of the state of Michigan and Great Lakes.
Yeah, we're looking at that in a terrazzo material.
Very nice.
Couple of other views of that. The dining space or the campground. We're actually creating a abstract tree within that space that becomes the ceiling area of the space. Great Lakers Cafe.
Is that sound baffling with that tree, or?
Yeah, it is. It's a felt product that actually gives us acoustical ability within that space. Cool. Gymnasium area, natural light coming through. There's the eye center with beautiful views out, and you're above the play space, so you're looking straight out into the tree area. Steam area.
That was the eye center teaching wall.
Oh, before, yeah, yeah. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Is that the same as like the classrooms and walls?
Yes.
Yes, they're the same with sliding marker boards and then storage behind it. We have a garage, a glass garage door that gives us interconnection from the eye center to steam. We're standing in steam in this view of it. We're still working on more, and we'll have more renderings to show of all of the other spaces within the building. Any comments, questions on this one?
So there's the open play space that's across the driveway in the back of the school, south of the school. So at Chico, where the bulk of playgrounds are on the other side of the driveway. We talked about having gates that would be closed during the school day and open, during drop-off and pickup time. I mean, most of the, like 90%, well, all the playgrounds, of course, are within the loop, which is great.
Except for the large play spaces.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, some sort of, protection for the kids that are.
Yeah, we're looking at that too. There's the floodplain area, and we're thinking that we're probably gonna have a fence on that floodplain demarcation with gates.
But as you're going to the open playground to the left, where the students will be crossing the road at the
Yeah,
back.
we're talking about having
Oh.
similar gates like we're doing at Chico. So during the day, there'll be some gates that'll be put in so that the car traffic can't get through. And this end hallway drops off right at a concrete ramp and concrete stairs, so the children can still come through this way. And I want to point out that this area here, from a development standpoint, is something that we are showing as a future endeavor. So we're just showing that you have the land to be able to do that. The bridge that we're talking about, we're working on, like John said, some alternative prices, so we can try to find something that's more affordable in the budget. So as we go through the playgrounds and what have you, this is sort of a master plan, so some of it may not be built. And I wanted to put a caveat on John's discussions about how beautiful this area is, just in case somebody takes a walk. So we were walking down through this area and this opens up. It was a nice sunny day and it's beautiful back there. This area around the route, it's a mess. So just know when you walk back there, right now it's not
just
beautiful.
overgrown, big lines on all of the trees.
There's some fencing that needs to be removed. We met out on site with Eagle. They're all in favor of cleaning up a lot of that area. There's a lot of invasive species that are basically drowning out the trees with their vines, so they want us to try to clean it up. So that's really the project that we're trying to pull together.
Just one more. So right now, there is a path that comes from the neighborhood to the south into the parking lot, I believe, over there on the east. So, I'm sorry, were you pointing to where that?
Yep, it just comes right through the property line, and then it points out, it's just basically.
I'm gonna ask you, it's
Yeah,
being maintained?
we'll maintain it. Yeah, I didn't show it on my drawing.
It's a walk.
It is there. That's the walk that we've taken before as well, all the way through there.
All right, thank you. It looks beautiful.
Anybody else?
I have a couple of questions. So you said that the property is so beautiful with the trees. Are you maintaining most of the trees so that? Okay.
We are.
Okay,
We
perfect.
definitely are, you know.
I see big
There's
fields.
there's some that,
It's all ready now.
you know, we need to selectively prune some of them to get the undergrowth up a little higher so that you can actually see through there, but
Perfect.
definitely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then, you're working with Eagle, I'm assuming DEQ, to help work with the wetlands. What does that look like for upkeep for us in the future? Right, invasive species, like, are we considering that when we're talking about budgets? Because that's a huge undertaking of a task. And so something to
keep it clean,
Yeah.
pruned.
Yeah, because it's wetlands, right?
Yeah.
So,
It is.
so that's just one thing, and then.
We are working with an environmentalist right now, that's looking at that. What is the name of that? The one that.
Oh, with Eagle, BARR, B-A-R-R.
B-A-R-R. And they're helping advise us with that, plus our landscape architect who's now starting on real details on that playground space. So we'll be able to get a little better handle on what that all means as far as ongoing maintenance of the area.
Thank you. And then one last thing. With Chico, it's my understanding, I haven't seen the latest update, that we're over budget on that build. And so So different?
We're not over.
All right, super duper. So just wanted to make sure it was scalable
No,
if we
it's-
were
it's-
accepting.
I mean, everybody keeps saying that, but it's not true.
No, it's not true.
So you guys all have different information than I do, so that'd be awesome.
And
I
middle school,
love an update
middle
on
school
that.
never went over budget either, we have a couple, $2.5 million left, so.
So I'd love an update on that then. Thank you. Thank you.
Nick?
When you go on that path towards the wetlands lane, I know there's like a fence along that path, but you can't really see the fence because the growth is all on top of it. But if you keep going in that direction, there's a, I think it's a baseball field.
Yeah, back in this, there's a baseball field, well, a backstop is like right up in this area right now.
There's no baseball field, it's just an open
It's just-
field.
It used to be.
Yeah.
There was a
Okay,
backdrop.
but it's not there
There's a
now.
back- I think there's a backstop right there.
Yeah, there is.
So that's gonna be utilized, or utilized, well, that's a word.
Well, the drawing, Bill pointed out, we're showing that we can get a softball field on there, we can also get a youth soccer field on that area, plus a jogging track to, similar to what we have over here. Yeah, we're showing that there's enough space to be able to do that.
And
So it's not part of the budget right now, to do play fields like that.
Like, it's
Is
not.
that what you're trying to say?
It's not.
Okay.
We'll have an allowance for it or
Yeah.
whatever.
But we do have the track.
We do. The track is part of it.
The track is the
We
part
want
of
that
it.
to
It's
be.
the baseball field and soccer, which right now for the fun run, they really use the open field. But we wanna standardize it a little bit and have like a walking track like you see at Gretschko available. It's very small, it's not anything large.
That's what this is right here.
But that's not future.
It's a Gretschko walking track.
Yes.
It's not a
It's not a high school.
High school
Yeah,
sport.
that's a walking track, and that's part of the budget for yeah.
And I know the water in that natural area, it's not stagnant water, it is moving, it is not current. It moves.
Yeah.
And whatever they're gonna do, they're not gonna create any blockage or anything.
No, we don't want to damage. In fact, there's some fallen logs that have sort of dammed it up at this point, and hopefully some of that can
They still
be
just
selectively, it's really nice when you walk through here too. If you walk right through this area, there's a little bit of a grade change for the water, and you hear,
Waterfall.
a mini waterfall. And those are the kinds of things that you certainly want to maintain.
So my question stems around in scope, out of scope in terms of budget. So as I look at the property, we kind of talked a little bit about the play fields in the back are out of scope in the budget, is that correct?
Correct. Yes, they are. Right now they are.
Okay.
Other than the walking track.
Okay, so the bridge that is proposed goes to what?
It goes to that. I mean, that space is open space that is playfield space right now. It's all grass. And we're just showing how you could arrange different playfields within that grass area. So it goes across, there's hard surface play right here, and then it continues to get to the
Is that
jogging
the
track.
whole service included?
Yes, that is.
So that.
That's
So
part, that's
just
part.
walk me through then, if we're creating and spending money on a bridge, right, we have a couple of options that goes across the water to get to what, the open field that isn't pre-marked or determined? Because I think when I'm looking at a budget, the budget says that I can spend, $10. I can spend the $10 getting which way is best for our students. So my question would be, is it best for our students to have a play field back there at this time and look at the budget in other ways to reduce some of the other spend, to say, hey, you know what, let them go across and have a play field. Because again, money is money, but we can certainly take that down or spend it differently so our kids can have a play field. And, because there's a lot of things that's in that school, we talked about the floor, we talked about admissions, and all that costs money. But do we wanna take that money now and say, let's give our kids an area to play with? Because as I look at the plans, the play field in which is designed is small. And it's certainly smaller than perhaps what the students may be used to, where they have all of this open field back here, but that's out of budget. So can we take our budget now and say, let's give our kids some play field, because good green open space may be good for the mental health of our students, which drives proficiency and so many other things.
So I think, I can,
No, can I add,
Yeah.
I just want to say that the place spaces that you see are very comparable to what you see at Scotch and Bretchko in terms of square footage. So when we're trying to standardize playgrounds, those spaces are very similar. We've worked with staff, principal. There is a big concern of having the majority of the playground so far away from the main building if there's an emergency. So I would not recommend putting the fields, the playgrounds in the back of the building based on the feedback that we've received. Now, that space that you currently see is currently utilized by Jordan as an open field space. That is currently how they use, that's how they use it. It's there. There's just no, yeah, but it's exactly as it sees there without the track. So the bridge also is an alternate, meaning if we're within our estimate, it's not really a budget. A budget is saying you have X dollars. With construction, you have an idea of an estimate of cost. And there's certain things that are important that you include as base bid, and then there's certain things where you say, hey, that would be nice to have, but it is not essential. So the bridge is something that we're doing as an added alternate for that. So I want to specify that it's not a guarantee that it would be even in the plan, but that space is still accessible. The backfield is accessible with or without the bridge. You're just gonna have to take a longer way to get there. So again, the feedback from staff was a direct connection would be great. So that's why we're investigating it as an add alternate. But the play space is very similar to what we've done at Scotch and Bretchko when they designed that space.
And you're right, the green space in the back is available. This just shows game markings on the site.
For scale? Yeah.
Yeah, for scale, just to get a feel
So
for
I
what that
do
is.
want to just finish my question, thank you. But I get a little bit uncomfortable when you say there isn't a budget. So that, as we sit with
It's an
$4 million
estimate.
deficit in our current, budget. So again, I think that to understand our costs and understand what's in and what's out is extremely important to managing projects. That's just basic project management. Because that is necessary, and a budget is always necessary when we are doing projects. Because we don't have an unlimited amount of money that comes from our taxpayers, and we don't want to give that perception. I'm uncomfortable saying we don't have a budget.
That's your twisting my words. That's not what it's called an estimate. It's not per se a budget. Once it's bid out, then you know what, hey, these are the costs associated with the project. It's why you have a contingency associated with the project, because there's unforeseen things that occur. We are well within, we are using the bond as our basis for that. And like I said, we're stretching this bond quite a bit. We're getting, 2 new buildings in a CTE space, which I can tell you I've seen a lot of projects being bid out, and this bond is going to take us very far, and our community is going to see that.
Again, I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Meaning that, again, we've had bonds before, and we also have community members who are still arguing about the use of that money for bonds. So we don't want to repeat that pattern, is what I'm saying. So I'm uncomfortable as we sit here and we talk about we don't have a budget. So there's always contingencies for a project, but there should be a cap on those as well. So in my opinion, I don't see, I hate to tell you, because there is no unlimited. Yeah, and
I think they're all saying the same thing, except using different words.
So again, when we talk about that and curtailing costs, then we talk about the bridge. So is the bridge one of those topics that we can use to curtail costs?
Yes,
Oh, everything is.
that's why we want to do it as an alternate, and we're looking at two different versions of it. One is a freestanding suspension bridge, and another one is what you would see at a golf course, which is more a lower area that goes over wetlands. So we're looking at both right now, and we'll have pricing on both.
Wonderful. How deep is that water when we talk about?
Depends on how much rain we receive.
Yeah.
It's not a real flowing river that you would think. If you walk backwards,
It's
it
probably
depends on.
3 to 4 feet.
When you remove all the logs, I don't know, it might
Oh,
be
yeah,
different.
there might be a little bit more in there, but
It's real much.
it's fairly shallow.
In the middle.
Right now it is.
So the plan then, as I understand, and please correct me if I'm going astray, is to clean that up? No matter whether it's
Even
a
out there.
bridge or not bridge or?
I'll have, when I can walk, I'm happy to.
No, I don't need, I just
Yeah.
want information,
So
so
we-
I could.
we-
If you haven't seen it,
Within-
I'll go to see. even
Within
like
what
to see
Eagle
the
allows
yard.
us to do and what West Bloomfield allows us to do. You
Yeah.
can't just willy-nilly go in there.
No, I get that, I'm just going back to board member here who says, Sandra Douglas, who says, well, what would be our continuing ongoing run costs to keep it clean? Because again, that would be considered going into our expenses, and that's a run cost, when you guys are long gone, we gotta clean it up on year 10. So how much would that be, and how much would the run cost would that be for us to continue to, keep it at its peak, whatever it is that we're gonna keep it peak?
I can't answer that number.
Yeah, but we'll have an estimate of sort after we speak. Okay.
Anybody else? Thank you.
All right, Bill, you're gonna,
Yeah. So I'll just go through and talk about the high school. Some of this you have seen before. We have the overall high school, and we colored up areas. There's 3 areas that we're going to be working in. We've got an addition for receiving, we have an addition for STEAM, and then we're renovating some existing internal CTE and drama space to ultimately create a nice CTE architecture and drama location right at the southwest corner of the building. The first area is receiving. Right now, there's a little, a small outdoor, not outdoor, but a small a building on here for the food service dry storage. We're taking that building off, it's not efficient. Right now, they have a big outdoor freezer, walk-in freezer refrigerator. We're gonna provide a new receiving area that trucks can back up and utilize this area for receiving, but we're gonna have an indoor freezer refrigerator. It'll help with the life of units and it'll make that space look so much better. This is the receiving area that you currently have, which is basically the corridor. So there's been a lot of problems in the past with the fire marshal's office coming in, and there's a lot of materials in the corridors. It was just a student safety thing. All of this equipment that's in a corridor space should not be in there. That will all be housed in the new addition. So up front, we just want to share, this is the corner in the southwest corner where the addition goes. And you can see with our modeling, John's rendering sketch underneath, and we start to build that up. In yellow, we've got a big CTE studio. This is a big workspace. We have the ability for a robotics, full-size robotics field to be located inside that room. We've designed this so there's no structural steel in the middle, so it's a wide open space. We have an electronics lab, or a engineering lab, and we've got space for computers. That is an esports lab that's coming to the program. We've been working closely with all of the instructors, Buddy and Kelly and
Jim.
in designing these spaces. So we've got a lot of input from staff. Yes. So this area will be sort of an all-purpose area for a lot of different programs. Large storage, depending on when the robotics will take place, we've got storage for all that equipment. Coming across the hall, we've got a large CTE space. So we've got, within the CTE space, we've got a large area for the computers, we've got workspace, and then we've got a dirty lab where all of the machining tools will be located. We've got a pass-through with overhead doors tying the two spaces together. So you'll come through this space and be able to access both spaces at the same time. And the computer lab, we're going through and updating Kelly's CAD lab and making that space new. So with the STEAM, all of those programs work closely together.
And build the light blue up there as performing arts storage.
Yep, so the light blue is we're manipulating space within the building. So we're taking some space away from the performing arts, but we're giving space back. So we're making sure that they've got the same space they had before. So we're not taking any space away from the drama program. Right now, we're looking at continuing the exterior expression along the building. So coming through the front doors and the back, we've got this swooping arch, a little nighttime view, tall storefront windows that you'll be able to drive by and see into the space at night. So right now, we're working through with a CTE equipment company, working on potentially adding robots to the program. We're going to come to you later. Sorry, Barbie. We'll come to you later with a CTE budget and catalog list of equipment. That is being worked out through Buddy and the other instructors. So we have a consultant that came on with the school district, and we're helping them as we design the space, and they're helping us make sure that we've got appropriate spaces within the school and within these programs to house all the equipment. So right now, all of this equipment that's going into the room is flexible and movable. We're creating a truss, a horizontal truss with all the power, with the data, with pull-down cord reels for compressed air, anything that this equipment would need that could be placed anywhere along the window line. And all the electrical utility services will be up in that truss. So this room will be completely flexible. They can move the equipment around and nothing is tied into one spot. Up above, we have a high bay area here. At one point, we came through and had a upper loft area, but working with staff and working with the group, it was determined that that space up above really wasn't necessary, so we were able to bring our budgets down and establish some work within this space to make sure we stayed on budget. There'll be a nice wall that's up above that'll hide all the mechanical, electrical services. Down below, we've got lots of glazing into classrooms. Within the esports room, we're putting blackout shades so that room could be used for esports, or it can be used for any other program that could be potentially in that room. It's just another bird's eye view of the upper area. This robotics court field is not, it's portable, so it's not something that's going to be there permanently. So we're just showing that with this outline that they could have a full robotics field in that location at night. When the other schools during the program days, that can be removed and you'll have the full use of that classroom.
Any questions on this one?
I just have one person. So us facing this area right here, the windows, right?
Facing
Correct?
west.
Facing west.
So we're gonna get the sunlight in the afternoon, which will make it hot, so how are
We have electrically operated shading on the inside that is adjustable so that, and we found that it was kind of interesting. We were looking at a whole series of sunscreening on the outside, and it really, the time of day when it really becomes an issue is like 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock. is the critical time frame. And robotics, a lot of times is after that. Sometimes it's during that same time frame, and sometimes it's in the evening as well. But we found that it was just more efficient to put the shading on the inside of the glass rather than putting all this elaborate sunscreening on the outside.
Question. So it appears, and it's great, that that room can be used for a lot of different things. And that's wonderful because, again, it's space that if you want to remove the fill, you can, you know, that's a great use of space. The one thing that I would love to hear is it prepared for maybe use for the band? Because that's the one area, when we talk about, you know, our band program, although small now, we have a large high school and our band program may grow, as it should. Can that space then be used for band practice inside when it's raining and so forth and so on? Marching band specifically, because I know that marching band is.
Yeah, if Jesse Six wanted access to that, this program, we could certainly work with them, yeah. But it's possible.
Yeah, what I'm saying is designing it so that acoustics could be there from a soundproof perspective. Because again, when we talk about marching band, not, you know, winds and all that other kind of band stuff, it would be wonderful if they had an area, because the band program used to be very big in West Bloomfield, and the band did have a space in which they could participate and or practice and so forth and so on.
Yeah, we have an acoustical consultant that is on board with us right now too. We are taking acoustics into account, but we'll talk to them about that as well.
Okay.
Would that affect the budget?
Yeah, we
Well,
have
we
to
have
look at it, because we're pretty close on CT.
We have, Julie, we have baffles in the ceiling. See all those green, those are all acoustical baffles, and it's a matter of how absorbent they are or how reflective they are, so.
I thought these were only estimates and not budget, so if that's budget, that's okay.
Everybody's using it, it's all meaning the same thing.
I'm just saying, because again, that is a population of students that nowadays, again, we used to, again, have a large band program and did a lot of competitions and things of that sort. So again, creating avenues for all of our students who, you know, are on the artistic side so they can have use of the
It was always meant as a multi-activity area for CTE. If schedule allows another group to go in there, you can use it, you know?
Typically, when marching band practice, they need a football field-like thing. That's why right now, the parking lot is striped with a football field.
With that, yeah.
So that's, again, if that would be adequate for them, I don't know that space would be adequate, because marching band, you have to memorize, it's almost like a choreographed routine.
It is,
So
yeah, it is.
if we could if that was a space that they felt they could utilize, we would certainly have those
And
discussions.
again, when we think about the marching band, there's so different components of that, and one of those would be, you know, your color guard who tends to practice inside, as well as, you know, there's different parts of that make that a great band program that we used to have. And they certainly were usually on the inside as well sometimes as well. So again, just making sure that all of our students can have full access if they choose.
Yes, sir.
You know, using this as for different things, is it, how quick to change things around in there? I know it's all movable, does it take a long time, is it hard?
So the robotics program is typically set up during a certain time frame of the year, and it's all coordinated through the principal as to when they can use that space. CTE, the instructor just happens to run that program, so he's going to have to coordinate when this will actually be used. I know that it does take time to pull the field. It is portable, but it does take time to pull everything together. The nice thing is, for practicing during that time frame, a half a field does not take up that whole area. So technically, you know, they could put up half a field and still do all of the other work that would take place with the robots and different things within that classroom space. So it's all a matter of scheduling.
It's not instantaneous. It's not like taking,
It would be for
the
competition.
arena, changing it from ice hockey to basketball. With
Anybody else have any questions?
100 people.
It's really impressive. It'll be interesting to see like what curriculum goes along with all this. Yeah. Okay, thank you
All right?
for being here.
Okay, yeah, thanks everyone.
Good for our students, that's for sure.
She wants
Thank you very much.
juniors.
Agenda item number 5 is our goals, data goals, and priority objectives for 25-26. Mr. Scott Long, Assistant Supervisor Services for Nursing Care.
There we go. There we go. I paid her $5 to do it. Gotta get a second. There we go. There. I got you too. There's no acronym, so I'm not putting any money in the acronym jar today.
Oh, you remember that?
I do. I do. All right, I'm really excited to be here this evening. This time of the year always gets me excited because the buzz is coming back into the buildings. And as we move forward into a new school year, there's lots of promise that comes along with that. And it also encourages me to reflect on where we've been. And as I do that, there's lots of great successes that we've had as a district, successes that I've shared with you in the spring and then throughout. Tonight, you're going to be reminded, and we'll revisit our strategic plan, mission statement, vision, and values. Then we'll dig into our recommendations for 3 clear and specific SMART goals for district data. After that, we'll talk about our district priority objectives for the year in all 5 goal areas, and then we'll land the plane with any questions you have. I'm excited to say I have some special insights, some special guest speakers that'll be coming up a little bit later, Eric Whitney and Andrea Frank, so thank you very much for that in advance. And as you know, this is where we're at with our strategic plan. 3 years ago, we were sitting down with the community and stakeholders looking at how do we support students' needs by providing them the opportunities, the experiences, and the tools needed for their journey ahead. And when we do that, we look at our core belief statements that all kids can and will learn, that equitable education is essential. And as you hear tonight in our district priority objectives, you're going to hear those things threaded through and weave throughout everything that we do. So when it comes to our district data goals, our goal this year is to be very clear, simple, and memorable for our entire organization. You have thousands of goals, no one's going to really remember what they are. And when our organization and our teachers know what the target is, it's a whole lot easier to hit it, right? So tonight you're going to see 3 very clear and specific key results. Those key results focus on 2 specific things: growth and proficiency. At the end of the day, what we can control are the controllables. And that's how we come to work every single day, from a district level, at a building level, and at a classroom level. And I'm proud to say that our teachers bring it every single day. They do a phenomenal job. And we've seen that over the course of time. So when it comes to growth and proficiency, NWEA, that's our national benchmark assessment that the state requires us to use at the K-8 level. We actually use that also in 9th and 10th grade. And for us, there's 2 really great reports that we're able to leverage. One is the student growth summary report. The second is the projected proficiency report. Both of those are wildly accurate in terms of how they parlay into state assessments and what we see there. They're also great because millions of kids across the nation take the test. It's the widest used benchmark assessment that's out there right now. And key result 1 is what does it look like for our grade levels in ELA and math by grade level to meet the projected norms and growth norms for each grade level in ELA and math. Our goal is to meet or exceed those projections in every single grade level for both ELA and math. So at the end of the day, that's 18 different grade level content areas. That's really important for us because if our kids are meeting that and exceeding that, we know that we're doing our job. Whether it's in a 3rd grade set of classrooms over at Chico or in 8th grade at the middle school. The second key result focuses not on growth, but on proficiency. How are we doing when it comes to the kids that are projected to be proficient on the state assessment? That's really important for us. And what we can do is measure where we've been in the previous years and continue to get better every single year. So as an example, last year our 4th grade students in math were 62% projected proficient. So as a result,
This year in 4th grade, our goal is that 67% of them will be proficient. And I truly believe that if you keep stacking small wins year after year like that, then we're gonna get to exactly where we wanna be of realizing our vision and our mission. When it comes to state assessments, one of the things you don't see in the NWA ELA or the NWA is science and social studies. Those are two key areas that we also need to measure. Thankfully for us, we have the MSTEP that exists. Time is fire. And that will measure proficiency in social studies and science. So very similar to where we want to be with ELA math, we want to see a 5% increase in those grade levels and tests from year to year. And I know, because we can control the controllables and because we have amazing teachers like Christy, those are goals that we can realize and that we can celebrate at the end of the year. Over the course of time, we have not been successful in every one of these measures, but what I'm starting to notice is that we're getting better and better. So for example, in NWA ELA, last year we had 8 of our 9 grade levels meet or exceed that growth projection. 3 years ago, 2 of our grade levels did that. So we just keep continuing to get better, and that's what we can do. Now, a goal without a plan is just a wish. And that's why we have priority objectives that are related to our goal statements in all of these areas. And what's really fascinating to me is that when you look at every dimension of our strategic plan, whether it's personnel and leadership that Eric's leading or communication, everything we do is helping us get to those data goals because it all impacts teaching and learning and student progress. I'm going to talk to you first about academics and programming. 3 years ago, we set the goal statement with our strategic plan retreat that we would provide engaging, meaningful, inclusive, and rigorous opportunities and extracurricular programs. This year, we have lots on our docket. Lots is at stake. I actually want to begin with Objective 2 because I'm really excited about it. We had a really successful pilot last year in elementary literacy. EL education came out on top, and this is the first year of implementation. From professional learning to monitoring for fidelity, to communicating with our community and our families and stakeholders, we need to be outstanding at that. If by the end of the year we do that, we will see gains in literacy outcomes. And those gains will start this year and they'll just snowball and continue to get better and better. Objective 3, in the county, secondary math is an area that most school districts struggle with. What we've started to notice with our Bridges math at the elementary level, we've not just stabilized our percentage of kids that are proficient, but we've outperformed many school districts around the county. We want to do the same thing in secondary math. We started to see some gains when we piloted last year. What we really are excited about with Reveal Math and Alex is that it's going to give us the ability to differentiate like we couldn't do before with CPM. Again, from communicating with our families and stakeholders, to providing professional development, to monitoring the fidelity of that, it's everyone's job in the district to make sure that goes well. When it comes to Objective 1, delivering data-driven, high-quality instruction for all students, that looks like how do we actually differentiate in the classroom? How do we look at our data? What types of protocols do we go through at a building level, at a grade level, within our PLCs, so that we can actually meet the needs of the kids in front of us? And we're going to do that and continue to do that better and better each year. And then lastly, the 4th objective is we are piloting 3 different resources at secondary ELA. We know that at the middle school level, especially that jump from 5th to 6th grade, we see dips in our percent of proficiency in ELA, and we need to attack that. We are piloting 3 different things this year. One is EL education, the other one is StudySync from McGraw-Hill, and the third one is My Perspectives. Fortunately for us, even though we're doing 3 resources, we're doing it in a very focused and channeled fashion. We have about 5 or less teachers piloting each resource across multiple grade levels, so we'll really be able to check in and support them. When it comes to culture and learning environment, our goal is that we provide a positive, safe, and inclusive environment, and I'm really proud to say that this is an area that we thrive in our district. There's not a single moment where I walk into a classroom and I don't see teachers making strong connections with kids, and kids making strong connections with each other. We see that. We have 4 elementary buildings that have been showcase schools for capturing kids' hearts for the last 3 years. We intend not just to maintain that, but to continue to raise the bar. One way that we'll do that in the elementary level is by continuing to implement rulers, our social emotional learning curriculum and doing it better than we have in the past. At the middle school and high school, we have advisory class. The middle school is revamping advisory so that we're targeting instruction based on the needs of kids. Whether it's a student that needs specific intervention in ELA or a student that needs an extra push in enrichment, that's going to be a big objective for us as well in this culture and learning environment. Next, I want to invite my good friend Andrea Frank. She's going to come and talk about the goal statement and objectives for communications and community engagement.
Thank you, Zach.
You're welcome.
Good evening, everyone. I'm excited to be here tonight. Just wanted to touch base and go over our communications and community engagement goals. Our goal statement has not changed from last year, which is we will create systems for consistent and effective methods of two-way communication and engagement for all stakeholders. We know now that we have Kevin McIntosh on our team, so for objective number 1, we're excited to strengthen engagement by launching targeted campaigns and feedback loops tailored to families, staff, students, and community partners, also known as what we say here, stakeholders, but I like to section that out. Objective 2, amplify student voice, which I'm super excited about to get into the classrooms. I know that we want to really showcase the learning, what's happening in the classroom. So we'll be focusing on that. We'll be highlighting student life and achievements and involving across all grade levels in communication platforms. Objective 3, fostering meaningful partnerships with families, local organizations, and businesses through collaborative events, which we already do, service projects, and shared initiatives that strengthen the Laker community.
Excellent job. And we're going to pass it over next to Mr. Whitney, who's going to talk about our objectives in personnel and leadership.
All right, so obviously we are a people business. We need great people. That's the bottom line in our goal, right? We need great people to do the work. We want the very best in front of our students every day. So our goal is also the overarching goal is the same, and there are really 3 components to it: recruiting, developing, and retaining high-quality staff. So in terms of recruiting, I'm very excited and interested in working with Kevin McIntosh.
He's gone.
He doesn't even know he has all sorts of things happening with it, right? New assignments, guess what you're working on? But we would really like to increase and develop a recruitment campaign that can really reach out to educators. As you know, the labor market still is very challenging for teachers, for paraeducators. I do think that it's improving compared to what it's been the last couple of years, but we want to make sure that we are really reaching all of those boundaries. So I'm really excited to work with Andrea's department, whoever she assigns on that, to really develop a marketing campaign that will increase our visibility and engagement amongst those candidates. There are lots of great ways to do it, so I'm looking forward to those ideas. We are also looking for implementing a comprehensive professional growth and development system grounded in the Marzano-focused teacher evaluation model. You've heard that before, that's our teacher evaluation model. And this is really one of my personal areas of focus that I'm working with our principals and all of our school leaders and those people that do evaluations, is to really make sure that we are using that system to grow teaching in our school district and to help our teachers with advancing their own instructional practices and making the evaluation not just about a checklist that I did to mark the box that we did what we have to do, but really to make it a tool that grows instruction, because I really want that to relate back to all those things that Scott is telling you about. His department, our principals, our teachers, they're doing phenomenal work. I'm very impressed in terms of the curriculum, in terms of the standards that they're working with. It is really, really good. And the third piece to that for me, besides materials that really support learning and the right curriculum and standards framework, is continuing to grow our instructional practice. And I believe that happens through our instructional model, which is what the Marzano system is based on, and our continued work with that. So we have I have a really good plan. I launched that with our principals last week. It was a lot of fun. We worked on that, and so I'm really looking forward to that, developing and talking more about that with you. Our last one is to continue working on our employee retention. We have our recognition programs that we're doing. And you know that a very big piece, I've talked to you a little bit about the employee hub, everybody's favorite hub. But really improving what I call the customer experience, right? From the very first time that new employees set foot in our school district, that we are putting our best foot forward, that we are streamlining that process, making it easy and comfortable and engaging for them, so that we start off on the right foot in terms of recruitment right from the get-go. So we've already sort of launched that last year, and we're going to continue that work because it's something that I really want to grow in our third grade course.
Thank you. Clearly, I am not Jamie, but Jamie did have some really good objectives in place prior to his departure, and I'm just going to identify those really quickly. The timely completion of Chico Elementary along with the preschool, also within budget, is a key objective for this year. Cannot wait to see that building completed. Optimizing our bus routes and implementing tracking tools to make sure that transportation is efficient and also on time. That's going to be a tall task with the construction on Orchard Lake Road, but I think we can do it. And then lastly, expanding our nutrition education through chef demonstrations by integrating them into our STEAM programming and our physical education and health classes and school assemblies. You'll hear from us and our progress in these objectives twice throughout this school year. You'll also hear from me pretty soon with our state assessment data. It's right now embargoed, but it's almost ready. So I imagine you'll hear from me in September about that. Then in the winter about our NWA updates, and then again in the spring. And I'm really excited to share the great progress that we're going to make. We'll be recommending this approval of these data goals and priority objectives at our next meeting.
Any other questions?
That's great.
And can you just go through a very small process of how, don't go crazy, like time-wise, but what is the process of creating these?
Oh yeah, so it's a very cyclical process. It starts by looking at lots of different data points with NWA, state assessment, our learning environment observations. Those are where we go into classroom score, our stakeholder survey data. And when I say we, central office looks at that data, our building leadership teams look at that data, and then from there, our teachers look at some of that data as well. And then we start by saying, okay, what are the most important things that we can do? Again, the same cyclical fashion. All those different groups look at that, we revise and refine, and then it gets to this point. It's a pretty arduous task. It's not easy, it gets really messy, because educators love to wordsmith certain things, and we always mince word, fight over which word goes in there. But we get to the right spot.
Thank you for that.
Yep.
I do. So I appreciate everything that was said, and it is impressive, so thank you for that, and thank you, everybody. So I was, to be honest with you, I'm glad you started out with the SMART goals. So when I think about, and I know what SMART goals are, when we think about specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound, those are the things that I see that are not included here. So when I think about what the goals are, I see develop, improve, I see implement, which would be more on the specific side, but not necessarily when, how, relevant, time-bound. So when will these get done in writing, so then we can see and really understand that the SMART goals are defined, and we can then really say, we do have SMART goals, because when I read this now, well done, but it doesn't have those specific characteristics of what a goal should have and to be. So I think, so I'm looking for goals, I'm looking for, again, the aspects of those.
Right.
So
so I think this slide here makes it really clear what we're about, which is students making growth and students being proficient. And I think all of those different goal areas and the action plans that go behind them, when those are done well, that gets us to this point. I also think that there's lots of internal measures that help make sure that we're on the right pathway, whether it is survey data, or learning environment observation data, or our progress on these action plans. Those also inform us internally that we're moving in the right direction to get to here.
right, so I look at it again, it just so happens too that I'm on the board here, but I do happen to look at, some other educators and districts and things of that sort. So staying in our lane as board individuals, there are SMART goals and boards are approving SMART goals. And they are listing what is specific, what is measurable, what is achievable, what is relevant, what is time bound. I can't get down right, time bound. So those are the kinds of goals, if we're saying that they're goals, those are the types of things that staying in this lane as a school board member that I certainly would want to see. So when we approve this, we know exactly how we will measure. And then I'm gonna make one other comment. And this, when you look at the state assessments, and you say we go right back to that. But as I look at key result number 1, and I wanted to really understand what you were saying, this is one of the results that I really didn't understand because it only talks about those students that are proficient. So it says the percentage of students that are proficient, what we're going to do with those students, but then that would leave 40% of the students behind. Because if we're only going to approve those, because I'm trying to understand, so that's why I wanted to listen to you very carefully. So as I heard you explain this one, I'm thinking, if we're only working with those students that are proficient and increasing them by 5%, that's 60% of our population. So what are we doing for the other 40? And I'm not asking you to answer the question now, but when we define what's specific, what's measurable, then we can get in more in for what group. Then you can tell me, what baseline are you measuring this against? What subgroups are you really looking at for? You may know all that information, but I think me sitting here as a board member is well within our preview as a board to have that information. So the goals are clearly defined for me.
I can answer that question for you.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great. So the first key result, basically, in order for us to reach this goal, Christy Law, for example, has to help every kid in her classroom make growth from the time they start the school year to the end. So in the fall, the kids take the NWA, ELA, and math.
Right.
They get a RIT score and a percentile. So let's just say their RIT score is 210. NWA will say, Christy, your job is to get student A from a 210 to a 225 by the end of the year. We know that should be the expected growth because we have millions of kids that take the test in this grade level, and this is how much we've seen over the course of 5 years reach that. That's called a conditional growth percentile. So Christy at her level is making sure that every individual kid meets their growth goal set by NWEA. Then Christy's PLC is looking at all that data as a grade level. And they're looking, did every kid in our grade level meet their growth goal in ELA? And if not, why? Who are those kids? What are their instructional needs? And how do we group them off to support them? And then at a building level, Jim Scrivo is looking at the whole thing. How many kids in the entire building met their growth goals? So that addresses every single kid in the entire school, not just the ones that are proficient. It's mostly the ones that are really needing the support to make the growth. We cannot reach this key result without every kid being impacted in a positive way. And then the second one, this one is actually, I think you might be misreading this. This is not the kids that are already proficient. If we last year had 50% of the kids in 4th grade ELA proficient, this year, coming up, we want 55% or more of them to make proficiency, which is a pretty sizable increase within a grade level. And I believe that if we keep moving in that direction in a grade level, before long you're going to see 65 to 70% in a grade level proficient. We've made that trajectory in a lot of grade levels. The key is to make sure that it happens in every grade level. And what we know about good Tier 1 instruction is that good Tier 1 instruction is going to impact about 60 to 65% of the kids. And then from there, your Tier 2 and Tier 3 instruction hits. As you can see, we've talked about this narrative for like the last 2 or 3 years. A big piece for us is how do we continue to improve Tier 1 instruction? And we've been addressing that, and that's why you're seeing increases in the percentage of kids that are proficient on those tests.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I definitely think we need that measurable, achievable of the portion of this, because words do matter. And so when we are pulling this as information, we understand. And again, it's happening across our county. So.
Anybody else? Lisa?
Ashley had her hand up.
I was gonna
explain that I thought she was misinterpreting the goal, but you got it.
Okay. Thank you, Scott, for your presentation. I
You're
have a
welcome.
couple of questions about this slide specifically, and then a couple of further ones. How did you come up with the 5 percentage points?
That's a great question. So we looked at the last 5 years of trend data in our grade levels. And we'll see in certain grade levels, more than 5%, other grade levels a little bit less than 5%. So we're kind of looking at where does that mean fall across all those grade levels to make it realistic. Like I could just throw out a number and say 20% are going to increase, but then it goes against what a SMART goal is. So it was based on trend data within the grade levels and over the course of like 5 years.
And so last year, I believe it's 10%,
Yes,
and so we dropped our percentage by 5%
correct.
because we weren't hitting that 10%?
I think it was a
Because I thought
goal
you said
that
that
we
we
hit.
did really well, all but like
Yeah,
two.
I think it was a goal that we hit in some grade levels, and others we're finding that we hadn't hit it. So to be more relevant and timely and realistic, we went to 5%.
Okay, and then, for key result number 1, to kind of echo what Ms. Evans was saying about the SMART goals, could we not put a percentage on that one? Just an idea. And then, going again back to the SMART goals, oops, I moved last year's. I'd like to see that with all of our, academics programs, personnel leadership, and everything like that. That, right, you've got your goal statement, well, how are we gonna measure that we are engaging, we're inclusive, right? Like, I'd love to see, again, some percentages, tell me the timeline, because it's, like, the objectives, that's a check off, like, for example, with yours, with, Alex, I saw that get implemented this summer, right? Check, right? But tell me when that is, so that we can say, hey, great job,
Yeah,
right?
right.
It did, right? So that you get credit for the actual implementation, but then back going to the goal statement, how are we measuring that? Like, for example, with personnel and leadership, okay? We want to improve employee retention by enhancing the recognition. Well, what does that look like? We want 90% of our staff to stay with us. I don't know what that number is, but that's something that's measurable. And we want them to stay the whole year. We don't want anyone to leave halfway through the year. And so that's what I'm looking for, is that how are we measuring our success?
Yeah, I appreciate that. And so like when you talk about objective 3, we're gonna measure our success based on these key results. Like if we hit these in each one of our grade levels, we feel like we've been successful with implementing Alex and Reveal Math, right? Does that make sense?
Yours ties more to this one
Yeah.
versus
Right.
the others, right? But again, key result number 1, I feel there should be a number on there, a percentage of growth goal.
Okay.
You had it,
number be
It would be the
national average.
Yeah.
whatever that ends up being.
It's built into
Which
the.
changes
that
based
will
on
meet
grade
or
level.
exceed, but our goal should be that we want to grow, what was last year, sorry.
And so like.
So like in kindergarten, it's like 10 RIT points for kindergarten. We hit like 13 in ELA. So every grade level has a different projection of RIT points that should be grown on average. So I could put it in there on like an independent slide. They also kind of change each year depending on the average RIT start for that grade level.
And so we're okay with just meeting.
Meeting or
Just the
exceeding.
average. But you put meet, it doesn't say just exceed, it says will meet or exceed, so we are just okay with us meeting. It's a question.
Well, it's like, you might want to explain the national grade level projected growth norm.
No, I understand,
Yeah.
But
you did a great job before.
Meeting it
when we
means
get to that.
you've done your job, like,
Yeah.
the NWA sets a standard to say, we want you to meet these growth goals for this particular year. So if a teacher, principal, central office meet those, yeah, that is
You
what
did
we
our
want to
job.
accomplish.
Yeah.
Now, if we exceed them, that's like the cherry on top. Like, of course, we want to exceed
Yeah.
it, but right now,
we don't wanna let perfection get in the way of excellence. There's certain areas where we're making that growth, we're seeing it, and there's other areas where we have to put a little bit more attention. It's like we said, this takes time. I wish I could say 100% of students will be proficient by next year, but there's not a district in Michigan that's gonna hit that goal. So a SMART goal, the A is for attainable. It has to be realistic, rooted in data, and I know that Scott and his team and our staff who worked on this spent a lot of time looking at the numbers.
I think for me, the only thing I'm saying is this should be a document that we can pull, understand, and read. And if we're really using this terminology, SMART goals, then the SMART goals should be on this paper. So it should be specific, it should be measurable, it should be achievable. We should know what that is. How do you plan on measuring that? Because when we toss out an acronym and we want to say that we're using that, then let's be accurate using that. We would tell our students the same thing. If you're gonna say that this is that, then do that. If you're saying this is this, then it should be that. But again, for me, I mean, you know, some of us work with SMART goals all day long. So if we're doing that and we're saying that this is a SMART goal, put it on the paper, make it SMART. And make it that, because again, that is something that is used in education, in business, and so forth and so on. Let's make it SMART, so this should be able to read for us what a SMART goal is. You know the information, you know what you want to achieve, you got the data. Make it happen on this paper. Then that way it becomes a goal, and it becomes a SMART goal. So that's just my reading. Words matter.
Yeah.
And what we say matters. So it can't be what you say, because you know, it has to be what we can read, that we know, for me.
Thank
We're gonna
you.
move on. I think it's getting repetitive here, but I think you made your point.
Yeah, I can.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to agenda item number 6, which is our IXL resource approval. Mr. Scott Long will address the board.
Every time we do the study session, it signs me out after the first. Every time, now I gotta do the duo.
That's because you're so good.
They sign you out automatically at like 7:45
Oh,
every
really?
night. Kicks you out, and then you have to sign back in.
Says, go be with your family.
Right.
Us too?
Yeah.
I'm the fun killer in the house.
I doubt that.
I
doubt that very much.
Oh, you can set it as a SMART goal.
Make it measurable.
We've never been slapped. Oh, we gotta do another one.
Okay, IXL recommendation, that's the one I'm doing next, right?
Yes.
Okay. Fantastic. All right, so we know what IXL is, that we've presented on it before in the past, digital platform that provides lessons and skill practice that's designed to be at each student's level. It personalizes things, it creates self-paced, mastery-based learning. Starting in 22-23, the board approved K-5 Math IXL, 3-5 Social Studies. More recently, in 24-25, the board approved IXL for K-5 ELA. What we've noticed, especially, for example, in K-5 ELA, since its implementation, second, third, and fourth grade in 24-25 met the goal of meeting or exceeding NWA's projected grade level growth. In 23-24, they did not meet that goal. I'm not saying that IXL was the only reason, but it probably played a role. It helps tailor things to test-taking skills and the specific things that students need to work on. We're seeking to extend IXL for WBMS, ELA, grades 6 through 8, in order to support student proficiency levels and their mastery of ELA standards, and to help them continue to make growth on NWA. We know that IXL will empower our teachers and parents. It gives parents a tool at home that's really easy to use. It empowers our teachers to assign things for home or in class when they're differentiating instruction and working with a small group of kids. It aligns with the 3 different resources that we're piloting. It's a fun, educational way for kids to keep their interest. They can set goals, be on the leaderboard, there's challenges that can be set. It gives teachers live assessment data that aligns with our NWEA data, and it helps students deepen their understanding of standards. This is an example that we've looked at in the past, where it gives the kids different tasks to do based on teacher suggestions. These are recommendations from IXL, so the kids can click on any one of these based on what the kids have previously done, how well they've done, or how poorly they've done. And then you can also integrate their NWA scores, and it gives a plan based on how they did on NWA. So in this example, the student's RIT score for operations and algebraic thinking was a 195, and it gives them these specific skills based on where they're at. So it meets them where they're at. So we're recommending the ongoing approval of what we've already had approved, plus 6 through 8 ELA, for a total cost of $54,750, which is an increase of $13,000 from the past. Questions?
First made a motion. Ashley?
I motion to approve the ongoing purchase of IXL curricular resource as long as the cost is not increased by more than 10% of the current amount. IXL for K-5 math and ELA 3-5, social studies 6-8 ELA at the annual cost of $54,750 per pupil.
Here a second. A motion to approve the ongoing purchase of IXL curricular resource as long as the cost is not increased by 10% of the current amount. IXL for K-5 math and ELA, 3-5 social studies, 6-8 ELA at the annual cost of $54,750 per enclosure 6 has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions? Now, person.
Thank you. I said again. I got a question for you. I got you. The 10%, right? Is that just when we make the motion that in the event that it comes to $34,950 to cover that, so it won't go more than the 10%?
Correct, so like a year from now, if there's inflation and added costs in IXL, if it goes 10% higher than what you're currently approving, then I have to bring it back to the board table again. If it stays below that 10% increase, then we just continue to move forward with it.
So this one is actually more than a 10% increase.
Correct, because we're adding the IXL ELA.
Okay.
So if I wouldn't have brought that onto this tab, we wouldn't have had to bring it to the board table because it stayed within that 10%.
But it's a different curriculum because it's for the middle school.
Correct.
So that's also why you have to bring it forward, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. My second question is, do we have the opportunity to do multi-year contracts with them so that we can lock in a price that we're gonna extend this for 5 years?
Yeah, we do have those opportunities.
Have we done that with this?
We have not done that with IXL. They give us a very high discount for what we currently have. We can get those quotes, there's minimal difference in them. So that's why we choose to go year by year.
We also go year by year because the funding, I mean, some of it is grant funding to tie us for a very nominal, it's very nominal, so
So this is grant?
some of it.
Oh,
Some-
okay.
yeah. We look at, we get grant funding, like Nancy had mentioned, until April, maybe June. So we're always looking at how we can supplement our costs with grant funds so that we can cover it general. But if you lock yourself in and you
You're
feel
stuck.
it's not working, or
There's something in.
middle school isn't, maybe
Or
middle
something
school
better.
isn't as good as the elementary, then you would be locked in. So that's why we take it year by year.
We also might find, for example, like 3-5 social studies, we've done that year by year. If we decide, oh, we want to make an adjustment to our social studies curriculum and IXL doesn't align, we're stuck using IXL for that.
Anybody else?
I got stuff. One of the things I think would be great, our North Star is student achievement in everything we do. That's where we're going always. So it would be great if you had mentioned this early on. If we can see how these resources that we're spending, how do they relate to student achievement? And when we talk about measurable, we're talking about achievable, then these particular things that we approve, because you mentioned it, last year, not this year, and 10%, then how do they then just tie into student achievement? You kind of hint about it a little bit. It'd be great to know that in, in report or an update.
Thank you for the
Anybody
feedback.
else? Okay, all those in favor say
Wait,
aye.
wait, wait,
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
That's okay, just one thing, so K-5 is math and ELA, 6-8 is only ELA, no math.
Correct. We use Alex, which is a very similar platform that coincides with Reveal Math. So that platform there exists for our middle school math students, ELA, IXL. Yep.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes 7-0. Okay, number 7 is our NWA resource approval, Scott.
Right. We talked a little bit. You're there.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. So we know what NWA is, it's math growth assessment. We are required by the state to give a K-8 benchmark assessment. The nice thing about it though is that they actually reimburse us for the cost of that. So each year we get grant funding from 104I. So we make the payment and then they give us a reimbursement that covers the cost of it. We approved NWA originally in 2017. We've been using it since then. For the last 2 years, we've had K through 9 students using it. We added 9th grade 2 years ago. This year, we're gonna add 10th grade students to have another data point for our sophomores, which I'm really excited about. Teachers use this data to plan instruction, to personalize their learning, create instructional groups, and monitor student growth. When we talk about data-driven instruction, this is one of those anchor points that every ELA or every PLC can use in ELA and math. We've talked a lot about the rationale for the resource. I'm not going to read everything that's on here, but it does give us a nice North Star in terms of progress for kids individually, at a PLC level, and at a building level. We're recommending the continued use of NWA math growth. This one actually exceeded the 10% increase that we had approved last year, which is why I'm coming to you this year for that, at a cost of $43,000.
I move to approve the ongoing purchase of NWA math growth benchmark assessment as long as the cost does not increase by more than 10% of the current amount. NWA math growth for K-10 at a cost of $43,000 per enclosure set.
Motion to approve the ongoing purchase of IXL curricular resources as long as the cost does not increase by more than 10% of the current amount. NWA math growth for K through 10 at a cost of $43,000 per enclosure 7 has been moved and seconded. Are there any additional questions or comments?
Did this one also go up because we were adding a grade?
Yes, adding a grade level, and they also merged with a new company, which kind of impacted their price point as well.
So do we get the whole 43,000 back then?
We will, yeah.
Is the high school 2 or 3 times a year?
The high school goes 3 times.
God, I remember when we first did NWA in 17, we tried to do the high school, we had terrible participation. I just remember it being, so
Yeah, there
kudos
was-
to all of you for getting that done, because I know there was a lot of pushback.
We've made lots of gains in technology since then.
Yeah.
I also think that thanks to the administrative team over there, they found a very streamlined way to administer it without interrupting their entire day. So I really gotta give them credit for that.
Oh, good job on that.
Thank you.
Anybody else have a question on that? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. Motion passes 7-0. One more for you, Scott, the Go Guardian resource approval.
Man, oh man, if I would've had Go Guardian when I was a teacher, well, wait a second, they didn't have all these fancy digital platforms now.
Get a chart, I'm sorry.
This is unbelievable. Christy, how excited are you for this?
So excited.
I'm on a turn there, talking interactive with you.
Sorry.
So Go Guardian is a digital classroom management tool and a student safety tool that helps teachers create focused, distraction-free digital learning environments. We piloted it this summer at West Bloomfield High School Summer School and at the middle school. And teachers absolutely raved about it. They raved about it for a variety of reasons, mostly because they could create some guardrails for students so that they didn't lose focus or didn't try to cheat. It kind of created a boundary for them. We have tons of digital platforms that you all have approved, whether it's IXL or the new Spanish curricular resource where they have to take a test and listen to Spanish and then answer a question. A lot of times, if you don't have something like Go Guardian in place, you have a learning environment that the integrity is compromised. It also makes it very difficult for teachers to manage. So classroom benefits for teachers enhance classroom management. At any given point in time, they can literally have everybody's screens up on their computer. So Christy can have 26 desktops on her screen seeing what every single kid is doing. So she's digitally walking around the classroom. It streamlines instruction because the teachers can push specific websites out to the kids, and the kids cannot venture to any other website. So I want them to use YouTube, NWA, and IXL, and the kids are blocked from anything else. It targets support, so it allows teachers to redirect kids. If they see kids veering off or not doing anything on their work, they can send them a little push or a nudge, and it improves assessment, which we kind of addressed. Kids obviously love it, because there's lots of student benefits. They love it because their focus is improved a ton. No longer are they distracted by all this. That's what they said. They can't go down the TikTok worm rabbit hole. They appreciate the online safety, and most importantly, the digital citizenship development, because every time they feel like they want to do something wrong, the teacher's there to redirect them. So it works pretty simple. It only works during school time on school managed accounts. So kids have to use their district issued devices within the hours for it to work. It does not work at home when the kids are using a district issued device. It does not work on kids' own devices. In terms of our communication and monitoring, we can chat one-on-one with kids, the teacher can at least. There's class-wide announcements that can be made on GoGuardian. And then, as I mentioned earlier, there's a session history with a timeline for each individual kid. Teachers can have that real-time view, they can open websites, we've talked about all that stuff already. What's really important on this, when we launch this, if it is approved, we have to explain to parents that it's only allowable during school hours. It's not gonna be the babysitter for them when the kids are at home. It's FERPA certified, and parents still have to supervise their kids on technology when they're at home. The session date is not a part of the kid's permanent record. We will have contacts at each school when parents have questions. We'll communicate that all out and how it works. So our implementation is we would train our teachers. Some of them have already piloted, so they're going to be our go-getters on the ground, supporting teachers. We would send detailed communication at open house, through parent Zooms, newsletters about privacy protections and how it works. We would do a student orientation and then full implementation. Really excited about this resource. We're recommending it for grades 2 through 12 for an annual cost of $11,500.
Okay, do I have a motion?
I move to approve the ongoing purchase of GoGuardian through July 1st, 2028 for grades 2 through 12 at an annual cost of $11,500 for enclosure 8.
Motion to approve the ongoing purchase of GoGuardian through July 1st, 2028 for grades 2 through 12 at an annual cost of $11,500 for enclosure 8 has been moved and seconded. Are there any additional questions or comments? Nick?
What's the advantage of having it be active only during school hours? And when a teacher is connected?
Well, one advantage is the teacher has to be the person that activates the session. So teachers, that when they get home, they want to be at home, right? So like they're activating it for their instructional lesson, and they're saying, I want you on these 3 websites, we're going to be doing this activity, and then when they go home, that's their time, right? That's one advantage. The other advantage is we also have Gaggle that monitors kids' activity for any like safety issues, which we feel like covers it. I don't even know if it's technically allowable for us to do that outside based on like FERPA rights and privacy rights.
Yeah, it would probably get complicated if one teacher blocks, I don't know, let's say YouTube,
Yeah,
but another teacher's assignment, you needed to use YouTube and you were trying to finish that project at
Correct.
home. So it has to be like assignment specific.
within that hour,
Yeah.
by that teacher, yes.
So all teachers have this, when we get it, every teacher within the district will have.
Yeah, so
access?
the licenses are issued to students. So if the teacher has that kid in 2nd or 3rd grade, they'll be able to access it and use it.
And is this it's, like you said, it's experimental to us. Is this a new company?
They've been around for a long time. And actually, our instructional technology team through Oakland Schools has recommended it for a little while. We were never really at a point where we felt like we needed it. Now we're at a point with all the digital platforms that we have, we just feel like it's gonna make us more efficient in maintaining the integrity of the educational environment.
So it also would cover an AI, if you will, that's a big thing. There's different systems, chat being one of them, but students know 1,000 of them.
They do. And what we wanna do too is not, like, we're gonna obviously teach kids how to use those things wisely, because I really do think there's an advantage to using something like ChatGPT.
Oh, I think so too.
Right, so how do we teach our students to use those responsibly in the right times?
Right. Okay.
Yep.
Yes, I just wanted to thank Scott. He had a really quick turnaround to pilot this over the summer, but to take the time to find, a spot that it would work, especially at the high school during summer school. I mean, that's, again, you always go above and beyond to make sure that the products we're giving, to make sure that their implementation goes smoothly within, the school year. So thank you for that.
I just really appreciate us trying to help guide our students. I know you're trying to, the students sold it, right? But
Yeah.
right, helping them, right? Being
They
good
need it.
stewards of the social and,
Yeah.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. Motion passes 7-0. Yes. Thank you, Scott.
Thanks for listening to this.
No breaks till after number 9.
Agenda item number 9 is our West Bloomfield Education Association contract. Mr. Eric, Deputy Superintendent of Education, will address the board.
I was wondering if we could take a break.
Like for 20 minutes.
She's been so excited for this moment. All right, thank you for having me back. Thank you very much. This is the last of our collective bargaining agreements that I'm really happy to bring to you this evening and present here for your approval. Before I start, Christy was right, I do have a couple of things that I wanted to just mention about this very important contract with our teachers. Before I begin, I do want to thank our bargaining team members. If you participated in IBB before, you know that it's a pretty intensive process. It's emotionally draining. There is a lot of heavy thinking and big time work that goes on in those sessions. And I'm really proud of our team. I mostly always love working with our team. They're really great people. They really work hard to solve problems, and that is not an easy feat. So I really do mean that they deserve our thanks and our compliments. The team that worked on the WBEA contract consisted of Kim Abel, who's our UNICEF director with MEA, Morrison Borders, Stacy Brickman, Tom Brand, Nick Latra, Christy Law, Scott Long, Colleen Mestov, Johanna Marakna, Harley Perry, Kevin Reed, Ryan Ridenauer, Jen Teal, and Angeline Well. So that is a fine group of folks, and they worked really hard, and I'm really happy to be here at this point with you this evening. They've invested, Christy said, I was counting over 100 hours as well, and that's a lot of time dedicated to the mission. This Board of Education, I will tell you, is a contract that I think you can be very proud of, and that our districts can be very proud of. This contract really begins to shape, I think, the priorities that continue to make our school district a positive workplace for employees and a high-quality learning environment for our teachers, and I really mean that sincerely. This contract addresses some big issues that have been, I know, on the minds of the Board of Education for a very long time, because we've talked about them almost since practically when I started here. I'm in my 8th year, and we've been working hard to address things like salaries for beginning teachers on the salary schedule. That has been a really big point of discussion, and we've made such good progress with this contract. We were able to do some things like, one of the terms that we use is smoothing out the salary schedule. What that means is evening out how the steps fall, because what we learned when we studied it, not only were our beginning salaries a little bit low, but the increases for beginning teachers were very small, and it took a long time to progress. So evening that out was really a huge priority. There was so much in that, and I really am very, very proud of the work that that team did. And I think the product is really good for our teachers, it's good for our district. So I'm really happy to be having it here for your approval. The last thing that I want to tell you, yes, it's a 2-year agreement, which is, since I've been here, we've had 2-year agreements, but never without a wage reopener. The salary schedule is decided, as it has been in all of our collective bargaining agreements, for 2 years, which is just, I think, a huge deal. It is important for financial planning. It allows the board to understand what our labor costs will be. It allows Nancy Hoover and her department to really guide the district, guide you all, guide our superintendent, guide our departments in terms of what our finances look like. It lends stability when we are not, when teachers know what their salary will be, when employees can plan and prepare for their futures, when we have a calendar, all kinds of things, that it really does lend so much stability to our district when we have those 2-year agreements. So I'm really, really excited where this contract is going. The very final thing I want to say is this. The other thing that I really committed to, and I appreciate the WBEA coming along for that journey, and actually all of our groups did, was what I call fondly cleaning up the contract. We have old language that just hangs around from who knows when, before my time, before Lisa Perry's time. If you know Lisa, she's been doing that for 20 years, and it came before her. She says, I go, where'd that come from? She says, I don't even know. So we really committed to updating, modernizing, making our language current. For example, removing references to gender to make it more gender inclusive, to get rid of outdated terms, to smooth it out and simplify, to use consistent terminology all throughout. To that point, I would just say that in our WBEA contract, you saw the markups. There's a lot there, and it involved a lot of time and a lot of investment of hours and hours to really make that happen. When I look back, we had 1,017 markups in the WBEA contract. That's the extent to which we really scrutinized the language there. And so for all of those reasons, I want you to know that I'm very proud of this contract as my work for the school district. And again, I believe it's a testament to that group and a quality agreement. So thank you.
Thank you. So, do we have a motion? Yes.
I move to approve a 2-year agreement with the West Bloomfield Education Association and the WBEA current closure now.
Do I have a second? Motion to approve the 2-year agreement with the WBEA current enclosure 9 has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments?
Just thank you to the team. Looking through that and all those markups, I can't imagine how many strong signs you went through. I cannot fathom it, but it looks great and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Just a quick question, and in going through the contract, you kind of took it all in one shot. I see some significant changes in leaves of absence and so forth and so on. So what would be the most significant change that you perceive that would be in this contract that would be a win-win for both sides?
I would say the salary schedule is the most important thing for me. As I said, it addresses a priority that the board has communicated over the years that we've been chipping away at slowly, but it's been hard to take really a big swing at it and really get to kind of where we want to be. So in my opinion, that's the biggest impact, is really seeing those salaries at the bottom end especially start to grow and become more competitive, and also the steps to make sure that as our teachers progress along that they are progressing at good increments that keep moving them along the salary schedule. That, I think, speaks to our recruitment efforts and our retention efforts all day long.
I would add, Eric, that the smoothing of the schedule also makes it much more financially stable for the district going forward, to be able to give steps every year. And
it evens out
the cost of it each year. So that is also, but I also wanted to say that we could never have made this progress besides the dedication of that team, but if we did not do it over 2 years. I think we always got stuck trying to do too much within 1 year, and having it for 2 years and being open to that, I think, made a world of difference. Yeah.
I was real happy to see that the beginning steps and beginning teachers.
I thought you might do that.
Yeah, you know, because I think it's very important, not just for bringing on good teachers, but keeping teacher retention. And that's real important. And I'm very appreciative of everyone's work that worked on this.
Crystal?
I appreciate the undertaking from the team, and doing it right and properly this, when we're doing it. I have a question about the parties will meet within the 30 days of calendar of the adoption of the Oakland County Enhancement Millage or a salary opener, but you just said that there won't be a salary opener, so can you explain that?
Yeah, that's a language, we call that a trigger in here, meaning it's triggered by some event.
Got it, okay.
And that really is, if there is an enhancement millage on the ballot, if it passes, the district will benefit from increased revenues. And so if that situation comes to pass, that we get those increased revenues and it contributes to an overall increase in our budget, that we will need to look at potentially additional compensation.
If there's an increase.
If there's an increase, exactly. Yep.
If it gets on the ballot.
If it's on the, I mean, there's a lot of ifs, there's a ton of ifs, right?
But you said there's no salary opener, and then I'm like, I'm reading, it's like,
Yes.
but we're gonna talk about, so I was like, I just want some clarification on that. Thank you.
Yeah, yep.
So just another quick question, so when we talk about that trigger, while the team was within IDB, was it discussed when that might appear on the ballot, or, because it's sitting here big as day, so there had to be some discussion about the timing of that.
Yeah, I can explain that.
No, but you can talk about the enhancement.
Yeah, that wasn't discussed.
It ain't
in
discussed,
negotiations, like the timing of it, that's decided that will be decided by boards of education. Right now, superintendents are working with Ken Gutman, who's the superintendent of the Oakland ISD, in terms of a time frame. That hasn't been solidified. The earliest it would probably be August of 2026, but again, we're not even there yet. Over 14 out of 28 superintendents in Oakland County are brand new to their positions. So putting on an enhancement millage requires a county-wide effort. And so there's been some information that I've shared in board updates about that, but that would be the earliest. So this was just, if that does pass, we will see an increase to our, it's kind of, we break it down on a per pupil basis, but we'll receive additional funds that really are less restricted than when you go for like a bond or a sinking fund that can only be used for capital improvements and repairs. Enhancement millage funds can really be used for anything. So that's the major difference. Macomb County has an enhancement millage. Wayne County has an enhancement millage. So that's why you're starting to see their wages become more competitive, because they have a funding source for 10 years guaranteed that's in addition to what they generate, through their local tax base and state funding. So that's where we're at there.
So just 2 points of clarification though, that enhancement millage, since we're talking about it, can also be divvied up among charter schools as well.
Yeah, it does, yes.
And then another point, just to follow up on Board Member Davis over here. So she said we can't talk about it, but I think that because it's in front of us and we are at a discussion point, is anything in this contract, we can ask questions because you're asking us to approve it. So kind of help me out to understand that so we all can understand.
Just because you said the discussion. What was the discussion in the room is what you, or
Yeah.
what
Oh.
was
Usually
it was only that word.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's take discussion. Okay,
Yeah.
but any other
Everything,
questions?
yes.
Because the contract comes to us as board members already ratified, so it kind of ties our hands a bit. Because if we had additional questions, we would have an opportunity, we could, but again, you guys have taken the opportunity to ratify it. So if we did have some drawbacks, it'd be very difficult at this point. So it just kind of leaves us with looking at it as it stands today.
Okay.
And that,
Or not?
yeah, that's always the most comfortable spot.
I know, but that's how they all are.
We always only bring you a ratify.
Yeah, we can talk about that in our board meeting. among ourselves.
Anybody else? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes 7-0.
You guys can have a break now.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, Christy. Bye.
Item number 10.
Thanks for coming.
This is our non-bargaining individual contracts approval. Mr. Eric Goodwin, once again, address the board.
Got it. It's not bargaining, right?
Did I say it right? Yeah.
Ooh, I can't handle
I did
it.
write it. I really read this one.
No, I just wanted to make sure I was on point. So that means that's the last of our collective bargaining agreements. It has been our practice that when that is finished, we bring you the final salary schedule recommendations for our groups that are not represented in collective bargaining. So here's the first one. These are what we call our non-bargaining unit members. They are employees that work under an individual employment contract. We have 19 of those individuals. If you recall, back in April, we adopted for the first time ever the salary schedule for our non-bargaining unit employees. That was new for us and the result of some important rules that follow under the way that salaries are reported to the Office of Retirement Services. I know we spent a lot of time on that, so I won't rehash that. Now that all of the contracts have been settled, we are prepared to make a recommendation for all the rest of our contracts. So you have before you the recommendation for our non-bargaining unit members. The recommendation is for the on-schedule increase at 1% and that those employees step. And we are also recommending that for the second year, just like our contracts are 2 years, we are recommending that all of our salary schedules are settled for 2 years as well. So the same 1% and steps in 2026, 2027.
We have a motion. Eric?
I move to approve the non-bargaining unit salary schedules for 2025, 2026, and 26-27, and the individual employment contracts for employees covered by the non-bargaining unit salary schedule as presented for enclosure time.
Have a second. Motion to approve the non-bargaining unit salary schedules for 25-26 and 26-27, and the individual contracts covered by the non-bargaining unity salary schedule as presented. For enclosure time has been moved and seconded. Are there any additional questions or comments? Kristen?
I have a couple questions. What is the budget implication for this?
You mean for, well, I will tell you this, the board set parameters for our bargaining teams as we went into IBB, and also we extend that to all of our units. So I am really happy to tell you that we landed within those parameters in all of this. So the cost of this is well within the parameters that the board has set, and we are exactly where we need to be.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
What is the budget implications of that? So I would love to know the numbers, because with state funding not being where it is, and not knowing federal funding, right, we need to be good stewards of our taxpayer money, and so I don't see that dollar amount. I also see that we're doing 2 1% increases. And so with budgets being so tight, I'm concerned about that. And then lastly, I understand why we did the steps, specifically for retirements, and I do understand for our superintendent, but I would like to see the superintendent's contract pulled out of here, because she reports directly to us, and so I feel that that should be approved on a separate basis.
Okay, I just wanted to make a reference to the table that parameters were discussed in closed session, and that is not appropriate to discuss at this table.
Right.
Just
Parameters were for the bargaining, I'm asking for this. and
That was,
these are
it
not
was
bargaining.
all back then.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
No, it wasn't, because we didn't even know we were gonna have a template back then. So when we actually,
There wasn't.
There was an amount.
Based on what percentage of the budget each group takes,
Yeah.
take that and calculate that based on every single group, whether it be teachers, paras, lunchroom supervisors.
It's all
And we have a number that's based on the percentage of the budget.
no, because I remember when Eric developed the schedule, and I'm sure Amber back here probably has a good take of it, but I remember when the template was developed, I specifically asked, what is the budget implication for this particular schedule? And Eric, being as efficient as he was, he said, well, it's just a template. So again, from that perspective, then it was said that it was just a template, so it didn't come with budget assumptions. So with this two different kind of conversations happening, because that, I remember specifically asking for the budget implication for the template, because it was not discussed in that.
schedule?
Yeah, for the salary template, because at that time, we approved a template. We did not approve a budget amount because we didn't have the template. And we certainly didn't have a 1% increase or the steps built in at that point. So again, I mean, if we're gonna stay with where we are, we gotta talk about the facts that happened. So now we have a template, and we said that the step advancement on schedule, so some of those employees on the 19 will receive a step and a 1%. We didn't talk about that because the template was a template. And when we had the discussion in closed session, this template wasn't developed. And we can pull the facts, I mean, it's not hard to do. So I'm just saying, if we want, how does this affect our budget? We have a $4 million deficit. So now we're pulling a template forward with some of the highest paid people that we have in this district. And we know, and we have heard that salaries and salary expense is the highest expense that we have on our books. We've talked about a nutrition model, and what that is, ask for a plan, we don't have that, but now we have a template that's active. So we're spending just in this one decision.
But it's within the parameters we gave you, that we discussed in closed at length.
Correct.
The budget implications are, again, as with the.
And we had those
presented,
budget implications
and those
at
were-
that meeting.
yeah, those were discussed with Nancy's. There's, everything in here is really within what we've settled with all the other bargaining units, very close to. So again, Eric came up with this recommendation based on negotiating every single contract within the district. And here's the recommendation, that's before you.
Anybody else have questions?
And I actually don't have any troubles with Eric work, thank you, I think you do an excellent job. The question then becomes, we have approved a $4 million deficit. We are marching forward with that. And then we will again approve these contracts against that $4 million deficit, not really having clean and precise discussion about how this, impacts us.
But that conversation should have happened in closed when we gave them the marching orders that we did.
And I specifically asked, what was the budget implication for the
We
template?
had, that was the conversation, but
Yeah, that was
this
the
budget is including the parameters that we gave you, right? The assumption that we were going to be
Yes.
using those
It goes into the
parameters
budget
to increase
increase.
everyone's salary.
With the step increase and the 1%
We just didn't call it.
Yeah, because you
Yeah.
didn't know where it was gonna, how every bargaining unit was gonna
Right.
choose to spend
We
money.
had to make some assumptions.
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no? No. Motion passes 5-2. Thank you, Eric, for that. Agenda item number 11 is our community ed, early childhood, adult ed salary schedule approval. Mr. Eric.
Thank you. One of the other areas of our employees that are not represented by a bargaining unit is what we call our community education wage schedule. That really covers what I consider 3 programs. That's our preschool, early childhood program, our school-age child care providers, which is our Kids Connect program, and our adult education program. So you have our recommendation, my recommendation here in your packet. The early childhood and school-age childcare wages for 25-26 are really, I can't really tell you that's based on a 2% step like we have with the other formulas, because we actually have been working, Scott Long and I have been working with Sarah McDowell, our leader of that department, to really entirely revamp that schedule. The revamp comes because of the additional funding as well as the requirements that are happening around the state-funded preschool programs. We want to make sure those wages continue to be competitive. Those are really important jobs. They are really challenging jobs. They typically come with a very low wage. And so we worked really hard to make sure that we are recommending a wage that's competitive and commensurate with the new requirements. Many of those programs are funded by that state funding, which has increased. Some of those are tuition-based dollars, so we also have to balance the wages with the income that we bring in through tuition. So it's been an art form to really develop that with Sarah. So here's the recommendation that Scott Long and Sarah McDowell and I put together for you. There is one thing I do want to point out is that there was an error in your packet originally. So if you looked at this over the weekend, you have the correct updated numbers in your packet right now. So if you're looking at it right this minute, it is correct. The error was in our 3-year-old program. So if you see the classifications 5 through 7, which was our 3-year-old program, assistant provider, and 8, 9, and 10, which is the 3-year-old program, lead teacher. That's where the change was made. So your packet is updated correct. We've worked on that draft many, many times, and as much as I would like to be a perfectionist, which I am, and it is a little embarrassing to say that I made that mistake. We had a lot of drafts of that wage schedule. So you have it correct, and that's what's most important, is that you're approving the correct wage schedule that you have in front of you. The rest, the second year of that wage schedule for 26-27, as well as the adult ed, are based on 2% increases and a step.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
Okay, I move to approve the 2025 to 2026 and 2026 to 2027 community education rate schedules as presented for enclosure of file.
Do we have a second? All right. A motion to approve the 25-26 and 26-27 community ed wage schedule as presented per order 11 has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions? No problems with voting on this one? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes 7-0. Agenda item number 12 is the lunchroom, playground, monitors, and crossing guard salary schedule approval. There's Whitney, will once again address the board.
All right, thank you. Our last group, this is it. This is the grand finale. Speaking of people that work very hard and a very challenging job, these are our lunchroom and playground monitors and our crossing guards. They do not have a salary schedule with steps, that they have a set wage, and we are proposing that we increase lunchroom playground monitors to $16.10 an hour from $15.76, and crossing guards from $14.10 to $15.02.
Do I have a motion? Sorry, do I have a motion? Julie.
I move to approve the wage of $16.10 per hour for lunchroom playground monitors and a wage of $15.02 per hour for crossing guards for 2025-2026 per enclosure 12.
Do a second. Deborah. A motion to approve the wage of $16.10 per hour for lunchroom and playground monitors and a wage of $15.02 per hour for crossing guards for 25-26 for enclosure 12 has been moved and seconded. Any additional questions or comments?
You know, I have no problem with this at all, or the childhood, adult education salaries, because they can make more money at McDonald's. So, you know, I have no problem with giving them this.
They don't get the benefits, is it?
And
Just say.
they don't get to impact the lives of the child.
Yes.
I mean, it's just like, seriously.
But I agree with you on that, but you don't want to forget the benefits.
I'm happy to see that number crawl over 15 and 16, so I'm happy to, you know, I think it's a good recommendation.
You know me.
Anybody else?
Sorry, did I miss your name?
Oh, no, I don't have.
I didn't know. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes 7-0. You already did 13.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well done this gardening season, Mr.
I'm
Bucky.
tired. It was good.
You can take a vacation.
Oh, thanks.
Hold on a minute.
No, we're too busy hiring.
Okay, agenda item number 14 is our Neola special update. That's next, right? Yes. Special update, August 25 approval, Dr. Gavin, is it that?
Yeah, so I'm gonna hand it over to Johanna because the board approved this Neola policy update in April of 2025. It was surrounded by our FAFSA grant that Johanna had secured for the district. And there were requirements to update your policy based on that. So I'll explain why we're here today with, asking for approval today on this one.
As Dr. Grazzi mentioned, the board did approve an update to this policy for graduation requirements to cover the necessary language to receive the FAFSA grant, which we received in the amount of just under $420,000. We took Neola's language and the board approved it. And then on August 8th, we received an update to that language, which is still within the very short time frame that we have left to continue to secure the funding from the state. It is a little, there's more urgency than there would normally be, and this doesn't change the intent of the policy, it just strengthens the language so that we are in compliance with what is required to continue to receive the grant from the state.
I move to approve the revised policy 5460 as presented in Neola's special update, August 2025 per enclosure 14.
Motion to approve the revised policy 5460 as presented in Neola's special update for enclosure 14 has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments?
I have a, what specifically changed?
The template that Neola, the company that we use for our policy, they changed the language that they push out to their clients. So they gave us one version, and then on August 8th, they gave us a second version.
Yeah, I'm asking, why did they make the change? What change did they push to change?
I assume because the state came back and said that language is not adequate for the grant.
Yeah, that's exactly why. So basically, it wasn't forceful enough to say that you should make every good faith effort to complete the FAFSA to meet the requirements of the grant. So basically, to get the grant, we have to insist and have a process that every student that takes the FAFSA. They had the language in there, but it was very weak.
Because I remember that.
Yeah, it was
That's what
very
I
weak.
was
So they just
I
put
don't
their.
think they met the state's requirements for the grant.
Yeah.
I think it was one part of it.
What the board really was worried about was like, well, say the student doesn't complete the
And the parents don't want
and the parents don't want them to. Do they not graduate? Yes. Even with this strengthened language, there's still an exit path to say the district made every good faith attempt for the student to fill out the FAFSA form. So, they'll still graduate, but in order to receive the grant, basically what was happening was districts like ours was submitting the policy as a requirement of the grant, and they were like, this isn't strong enough.
No, I just,
Yeah, so
yeah,
we
'cause I
all
remember
then
working
said,
on it, so.
hey, April 8th, or August 8th, here's the update, which put us on a very tight time frame.
Scott applies for all grants too.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes 7-0. There's a lot of funding for FAFSA.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
The kids have really cool opportunities.
Agenda number 15 is our board planning discussion. I first want to I don't know why I didn't think of this earlier, but Right now, we have a board meeting, board study session June 1st and a board meeting June 15th. Those are a lot earlier than we would normally have a study session and a board meeting, even though it was the same this year. It really does not help when the state doesn't give us adequate guidance for our budget. But I wanted to bring it to the board to consider to change it, and we would take action at the next meeting on June 8th for the study session and June 22nd for the board meeting, because it's just very, very tight like it was again, like it was this year. So I'm just putting it out to the board. If anyone has an issue with it, or is it okay to bring to the board to the next meeting? Because it's very tight. It's right after Memorial Day. It's boom, 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 boom. Anyone have a problem with it? Okay, so I'm gonna bring that, we'll add that to the agenda to update our board meetings.
Stacey, I don't have a problem with it. So at some point, I know when we bring the budget forward, is there time in here to include just another meeting if needed? Because what happens is sometimes we discuss the budget and then.
So why don't I put one in between the 8th and the 22nd for a
And if
placeholder?
we don't need it, and if we do.
I can do a placeholder.
We do,
I don't know the date.
15. I think, I just looked at it.
So we'll put a placeholder as a workshop.
Yeah, and just in case we need it or whatever.
Do it as a workshop, so it's not like an official, if we have to change it to a meeting, we can.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Can I add on to that? So my first time doing the evaluation, that was the longest meeting for, we went to almost midnight. So I kindly asked that we do a separate closed session, special meeting, closed session to do Donna's review, so it's not on the back of a meeting that might be long too.
So let's hold that for, because we're gonna do that now.
Oh,
So
I'm
we're
sorry.
saying, that's my number 2. So hold that thought. Because we'll have to think about that timeline. So it works for everybody. So I'm gonna bring June 8th and June 22nd to update the board meeting schedule and add June 15th for a workshop, potentially special meeting. Is that, everybody's got that? And I will put that on the August board meeting. Now we can go to superintendent evaluation. I know I heard from one board member, and I said, we'll just talk about it here. What did I do with it?
That's for the timeline.
So, yeah, you had it printed in board docs. So, obviously, we're August 11th, we're talking about it right now, the MASB superintendent evaluation tool. The August 25th, this is all part of the evaluation cycle. August 25th, Scott's going to bring the goals for the board on August 25th, which is the next board meeting. November 10th, which is pretty much the timeline we've always done for an informal update. I like to do study sessions so that CCTV is not sitting there while we're in closed sessions. It's a long, it's just, so I like to do that, if that's okay with everybody, November 10th. And then February 9th, we usually do that because then we have our winter NWA data that can be part of the data discussion. A lot of districts do it in December, mainly because of board turnover. But if we want some data to discuss, February 9th is the date to do it, if everybody is agreeable with that. And then we can get to May and June regarding when we get our packet and when we will do like our closed session, like that Kirsten was just talking about. So I'm opening up to you guys when and how long in the process, like the dates, how much time you need in between working on that. I know last year I received some feedback that, 2 weeks or, 2 weeks and 2 weeks was not really great, so.
It was, and that's because it was around the holiday, right, and all the graduations and stuff like that, so it made it really challenging.
It was busy.
And the time for us to review, to get it back to Danya, to get it back to us, was in that 2 weeks, so it wasn't, we didn't get a full 2 weeks to review it. I also had requested that that we have a facilitator, and so I will move that forward as well, to do the evaluation.
Okay. So, if we're looking at May and June, how many weeks,
materials are given May 18th, and then the study session is pushed back to
Well,
June 8th.
Or the workshop, either
Or
one.
the workshop, that will be, 3 or 4 weeks.
Is that good for everybody, or? So let me just do this. So May 18th will be you get the book, or,
That's a
you guys
short
are,
closed session, right?
yeah, that's the short. Is that good for you guys?
Is May, so let's just talk about the 18th versus the 4th. So the 4th, it could be ready.
It could be.
Yeah.
Okay.
You wouldn't have spring data.
But
you
you
might not
would
anyway.
have the evaluation data though.
Yeah, that, my worry would be
Oh, yeah, that's
when do
true.
we finish, when do you guys usually get me the computed data back?
I can look at the timeline right now. It's you know how they compute the whole district-wide data?
Mid-March.
I was thinking spring data, but they don't use it in the
I
contract.
feel like I got it. It's
No.
before you guys do your
What would
evaluation.
be
Yeah.
the last day?
Individual with growth data,
Fine with that,
Well, May
yes.
4th gives the most time to.
Individual
Yeah.
growth data is due April 24th.
I
Yeah,
can see that.
so that's, for them, because I didn't get it till May this year,
Correct.
yeah.
So are you saying May 4th is feasible or not feasible?
I would say it's tight because I've never been here a year where they didn't ask for
More time.
a little bit more time to finish up.
So split the difference,
That's
May 11th.
18th is,
I don't want to add 2 extra meetings maybe.
it's 3 weeks.
Huh?
Yeah.
From May 18th to June 8th,
Is 3 weeks.
it's 3 weeks.
But when there's graduation in between both those dates.
It's usually the
We're gonna have evaluations at that time every year. I mean, that's our number one job, is to evaluate.
My
By the time we
number one
have
job
to
is
make.
my number one job.
Well,
So
that
we're
might
trying
be
to
for
work
you,
with that,
but,
with everything, so.
it is our
When is
responsibility.
Memorial Day? I don't have a calendar.
I'm looking at it.
I know it's in May, that's because they broke it out.
It's
It's
May
May
25th.
Between Memorial and
Yeah.
25th.
Wait, what's May 25th one?
It's Monday.
All right, so it's a week before, and then, we just we pushed out the study session till the 8th, so we could do it on the 8th or the 15th. Where did I just write that?
May 25th is,
Memorial.
No, that, we're not meeting on May 25th, I'm just saying I'm counting the days.
Yeah. So another thing
So I just
is,
got-
when we agree to these dates, can we also say that our agenda items won't be packed in such a way when we are here at 10 o'clock? So again, it's looking at the agenda, moving forward, so we can adjust the time. Because there is, again, anytime you take anyone out of the workforce, and I included, myself included, and we start working at 10 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock at night, it's really too much, it's not even civil. So if we can find a way to
That's
not
the thing.
load our agenda, so we can have,
We always try, this year was really challenging, I will say.
I mean,
no, I'm just saying,
there's
because
gonna
we
be
know
action
some of the things
items.
that's coming up, so.
We tried to push certain things that we could, that were not, needed at that time, but.
We have a calendar we have to adhere to.
We don't want to stop district work. I mean, during that time, we're doing a lot of evaluations at that time.
Most districts around us, if we compare to other districts, don't do study sessions, and they have
They go to- we used to go to
really,
midnight all the
really,
time.
really, really long meetings.
That's why we do study sessions, so we don't go to midnight every single time.
Like a 3-hour meeting.
Well, yeah, you didn't get the time.
Or trying to do something different,
Well, I will tell you that we always, I would tell you, like, the best intentions are to keep them lean in the spring, but that's also the end of the year and then the setup. So the intention's always there. This year, was really challenging for some reason, so.
We can try.
You can try.
I'll try.
So, I will type this up so everybody has it, like we type it up, but, so it'll be either the 8th or the 15th, depending on what's happening with that.
What's happening with what?
The June study, like the June.
To do our facilitated, evaluation. June 8th or 15th. 15th, we're going to have a workshop.
Oh.
I think it depends on what the evaluation. What?
The board evaluation?
Like the soup evaluation, like, we all meet and close, that's the longer one? That's what I'm talking about. So it gives 3 weeks at least.
that's good.
Yeah.
So we tried, I think,
Yeah, it's 3 weeks.
brought up a facilitator being included in that session.
What do you guys, I need consensus of the board for that.
Well, I don't think it's necessary.
Why would you need a
Yes,
facilitator?
MASB
Just give
says
an
it's
employee a
done
review.
between the superintendent
I
and.
know, but I'm.
It's
I'll
best
ask
for
for
Julie, so it's one of the things that districts do. So it's not as though that it's a.
I also think the employee should weigh in if they want another person in the room as they're being evaluated.
I think it's PR for my guidance. I'm gonna speak to myself, right? It was a new tool, and having now gone through it, I feel that it might be best practices to have someone help coach us to help her as well. So
Yeah,
why
that's
I'm
from our
asking.
perspective.
Yeah.
I'm saying the employee should have a statement from their perspective,
But
what
as-
they would like.
And I hear you, but as someone who's going into HR, I don't get to say, I don't want that HR person sitting in there.
Well,
that's
not
that's
HR
an employee.
But no,
It's not an
I
HR
mean,
person.
no, that MASB tool though says that it should be mutually agreed upon between the superintendent and the staff. And the superintendent. So when you say facilitator, I just look at, we have a board president who's well-trained on this. Let's go to the next board member.
Or whoever it is, you know, who has facilitated this process now for 3 years. And, you know, personally, I don't see it to be necessary.
But I think you might also have some board members that feel like you're not getting heard. And I think that that's a real possibility, and I think that that's something that may need to be discussed. So,
All right, so remind me, you know, closed session is closed session. Say it again.
When you say you haven't been heard in those, that's violating, you know, those discussions are in closed session, they're to stay there. I know no one means any harm, but let's be careful.
yeah. No, I'm just saying, so facilitators can certainly, you know, help that and make sure.
Does anyone have any strong opinions?
I don't think it's necessary. I feel like I can hear everybody, I don't have to agree with them, it doesn't mean you're not.
Nice to have it this year, but I don't think it's necessary.
I have no problem.
No problem with what?
It's not necessary.
Julie?
I don't think it's necessary, and I do think the employee should definitely have a voice in if there's a third party involved in their.
Well, there's no confidentiality with it.
Right.
Okay, so at this point, we'll leave it as is. If we need to have further training, we'll do that. Board social contract. You know, I weighed in, I felt, when we talked about the board social contract, about doing positive intent. I really think it needs to have no surprises. If you guys don't agree, that's fine, but I really think that we should be adding no surprises. You guys can weigh in, and I'll be quiet.
I agree, I don't see a purpose for an I gotcha or a surprise, or, I don't think it has good intent if you're surprising. We're a team. If I want to know from an employee of mine before we go into a client meeting, information, I will gather that, or let them know I want to know that prior, so they are prepared to share the information, because my intent would be to get that information. So if that's the intent, then there was no purpose for any surprises at a board meeting, so everybody's well prepared to answer any type of questions or share whatever information is necessary.
It's always been the policy of our board to have no surprises.
I agree with Julie, I really do, but I think that goes both ways. I think that, you know, when we look at our agenda items or some things that are said, I've personally been surprised about the other way of communication. So I think that no surprises goes both ways, not just this way, but it goes that way as well. So I haven't seen it to be something that we may have always been there, but I haven't seen us as a board adhere to it. So I get disappointed by it because it sits there, but it doesn't appear to be acted upon. So I mean, I think it sits there, but again, I don't know what good it does because I see surprises going everywhere. So I don't think it's this side that breaks rules. I think it's everyone creates a surprise at times. So it doesn't hold a lot of meaning to me.
I think all of us should have the intention to not surprise them.
Right. And I think we have that in our.
That was the whole good intent.
Yeah, that was the whole good intent.
Listen with good intent.
Well, I think we probably had both, I think we both. I really do. I think that we should try and be like positive intent and work towards that. But I also think we should all have a goal, including, you know, everybody, that there should be no surprises. So, can we add that? Yeah. Everybody okay with that?
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, okay. Very good. Now, West Bloomfield Educational Foundation. Is it education or education? Education Foundation. Education Foundation, I picked it wrong. Foundation is asking if there's somebody that would like to be the board liaison. I asked when the meetings are, and they are monthly on Thursdays at 8. I don't remember where I wrote it.
It's the third Thursday of the month,
Third Thursday.
8 a.m. at ACS.
At ACS. So if there's anyone that is interested in serving, and I don't think it's a board member position, but it's a liaison, they just want the board to always know what's happening with the Education Foundation. So if there's anyone interested in it, please let me know. And then I will update the board committees on that. I also added that Ashley and Nick, if you will continue to do the Laker month through the next cycle of January. You guys good with that?
That's fine.
And I also changed, with the contract, the WBA decided, it was always one board member, but like when I got on, the person that was doing curriculum council took me under the wing for 2 years so I could learn curriculum council, so I've done it with Ashley. So we changed it to up to 2 members on curriculum council, because it always said one voting and 1 alternate, so I made you the voting. So I'm ready to, you're doing a great job. You're doing a great job. And we can have an alternate, it's like sometimes Art has gone in, whoever, if there's only 1 board member there, they're the voting person. Okay. And then also in the WBD contract, there was a behavior, and you heard Christine talk about it, there's a behavior task force that is teacher-run task force that is supported by some administration, or district administration. So it's extended into this next contract. I did sit in on it, but now they can say up to 2 members. So if there are anyone interested in that, as soon as I find out when that will be scheduled, those meetings, because before they were during the day, they might be after now, when I find out when they are, because I don't want people volunteering that can't. So I will let the board know when those are, and you can let me know if you are interested in that. And I don't feel like I added very much, but those teachers are really hard workers and have done a great job with that. So that's the other update that will be coming soon. Don't cut out yet. Board self-evaluation. A board member has brought it up that she would like a board self-evaluation, whether it's MASB tool or another tool. I'm not going to impose it on the board. This is the time for the board to weigh in. We haven't done it in a while. We have to do this. So, anybody?
I brought forward, for best practices, we should do a self-evaluation. It's been recommended that we do it yearly, and so since I learned that we haven't done it, something I brought forward.
Anybody have any? You're making.
No, I was just thinking we're together so much, we really need that.
I think self-evaluation is something you should do independently all of the time. I don't know if we need to do a workshop on it, because an independent evaluation, I'm going to be evaluating myself, I'm not going to be evaluating you as a board member.
Don't we just, when we went over the board norms, that was.
I think that was a year ago.
No, it
was that was very much like a board evaluation, how we perform, how we want to perform, what's expected of us, how we want to interact. I think that some type of, it might be an evaluation board workshop. We do it every year. We just don't call it the board self-evaluation, but.
What do we call it?
Governance.
Are you referring to like an MSA?
I'm tired, but yes, the governance.
Like,
We do the governance every year, it's very
So
similar.
that's basically
So again, I'm just gonna go back to words matter, process matters. And we do not do a board self-evaluation. It is a evaluation that's conducted by a third party, and MSD is one of those parties. So we do not do, I have never done a board self-evaluation since I've been sitting on the board.
Yeah, we haven't done it since COVID.
But what I do know, and what the data does show, is that those districts that do board self-evaluation, it is tied to that North Star, which is student achievement. So those boards that are running highly effective and doing those things such as board self-evaluations tend to have high student achievement within their districts. So it is a process in which lots of boards use, and they have good success because of it. So I'm certainly in favor of that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else? I don't know. I have gotten a lot of mixed signals in this room today. Is it timing? Is it
I think
something you
it's
want to
time, it's
explore?
money, like, I don't know,
Something
I
you
don't know
want
if
to
it's.
explore like later in fall when it's like, what do you bet?
I think doing the governance was, we had all the discussions.
No, we didn't, Julie, because a self-evaluation model is something different than governance. It just is.
I've
never
been
been
through
through it,
That's very
you're trying, like,
I've
I
been
think you're
through it.
referring to a
And they're
specific
different,
tool.
so.
The MASC,
I should probably look at
MASC.
it.
I'm not, no, I don't care about the tool, but even our facilitator has suggested that's best practices as well.
Let me pull out the old ones and let me look at them, see, and compare tools, and then we'll talk about it again. How's that? Because even Johnson already said something about.
Yeah, I mean,
Just very-
best practices are what they are.
Let me do some research on that and we'll talk again. Does that work? Okay, anybody else with board planning, that's what I've had identified, that has come up over the last few months.
And we talked about the agendas, and making
Yeah,
sure.
that I have, good. Okay, good for the order, first of all, I don't know if
Okay,
everyone
yeah.
knows, but what?
He said, what about the agendas? She said, not the
Oh,
12
just-
o'clock.
Trying to keep
Yeah,
them balanced. I had a terrible accident when I went to our wedding in San Diego. I never even got to the hotel. And I then went right to the hospital, EMS, I broke my ankle in 3 spots. I have pins, I have plates, I have everything. And it has been really challenging, but you guys sent me this tough cookie care package and it brightened my day. So I want to thank you for that. I am mentally bearing for at least 2 more weeks. It might be longer. It's probably the most physically challenging thing I have ever gone through in my life, but thanks for sharing me up a little bit. And for the calls and texts, so I appreciate that. Anybody else have, look, I get teary, like, this has been really hard. I know. Oh, but,
Yeah, yeah. So, you know, I think we all know that the ruling from the Court of Appeals came that was in favor of the district, which is consistent with what came out of the Oakland County Circuit Court, that the process was transparent, that the process was lawful. You know, it's disappointing to me that some still want to cast a shadow over our district. It's wrong to do that. When you attack a decision that was made by a public elected board, recommended by the superintendent, that was affirmed by the Court of Appeals, affirmed by the Oakland County Circuit Court, you know, at that point, you're disregarding facts. That's the bottom line. Factual information. So this continuation is not about the truth. It's a Machiavellian approach that the ends justify the means. And that the law doesn't matter when the law does matter. So I want to make sure that everybody understands that any information that's coming out of Eagle, the board is aware when they did their site visit in March of 2024. It is the same information that is being circulated now. They did air quality monitoring testing. They did samples of the plaster walls. All of those came back negative. At the end of the day, it is a difficult process when you are abating and demolishing a building, and that proper protocol has to be taken before, during, and after that process. There is no information that is new. Eagle didn't even provide us the information. They forced us to FOIA, which means they never plan to even release it to us. When I say that we can't speak to ongoing litigants, it's because it's not over. The plaintiffs in this lawsuit can appeal to the Michigan Court of Appeals. The Supreme Court, I'm sorry, they can appeal it to the Supreme Court. It has not been dismissed at this point. And the district, as well as our attorneys, well, this was a lot of time, effort, and sacrifice on the district's part. There will be an attempt to recover certain things in this process. So this is not over. And this is a process that we have to be patient through, that we have to be honest through. And that's why when we say, when I say to people that I can't speak to plaintiffs in litigation against the district, that is common practice. When lawyers get involved, the attorneys communicate. That is law school 101 in terms of that process. Good schools make for a vibrant community. And if people really care about this community, they're going to stand with us and with our students and with our staff, and they're going to move forward and do what's best for kids. At the end of the day, I don't take the law lightly. The law of this land is something that I respect, and the decision, whether it went our way or not, I would have respected that process. And again, I wouldn't take a Machiavellian approach to things. People have to understand, everyone within this community has to understand that, as Oprah would say, you are responsible for the energy you bring into the space of our children. You are responsible for that. And creating a safe, uplifting environment is something that I hope this board will stand behind, so that we will set the example in terms of our job is to create an uplifting environment that supports our students, that supports our staff, and that each of us are responsible for the energy that we bring into this district. And I'm committed to moving forward in a way that allows us to do what's best for kids. I've said this over and over, this was not an easy decision, but my job is to protect the long-term interests of West Bloomfield School District far before I'm here, far after I'm gone. And if that wasn't my guiding principle, I could have easily recommended something different that would have been easier for me personally, but long-term would have been worse off for the district. So again, that's all I'm going to speak on it, because at this point, it's not over. In certain aspects of an appeal could be made, and there's going to be recovery that's pursued.
So this lawsuit has not been dismissed, correct?
Not yet.
Okay.
We just tore down Chico in the last fiscal year. And it's an older building.
It was abated.
And it was abated. And there was not a single person came to discuss it. And Clarkston just tore down one of their older buildings.
Abatement is a common practice in terms of that. And so for development, there's going to be abatement that happens, that takes place, whether it be at one of our buildings or within the community. Abatement happens in homes, happens in businesses, happens in schools, happens in government buildings.
And it doesn't only happen when you renovate, when you demolish.
No, when you renovate spaces, you have to
abate.
Yes.
So can I ask a clarifying question?
Well, you can call me after the meeting or catch me after, but I think this is just good for the order, so I'm not gonna.
Okay, so then good for the order. Yeah. All right, so then my question is that with the current administration, and I don't mean our administration, I mean the federal, right? We are in a situation that we are struggling with funds. And in hallways, I've heard board members say that when there was discussions with the mandate there was a discussion, it was when they're walking in the hallway, we were having a mandate about DEI, they were saying not willing to risk that money. We have an opportunity to sell a building, and so my question would be, I'd love for us to reconsider that to help offset our deficit. And I think that's good for the order, that's best for the school. It was always about the kids, and so we don't want to jeopardize that funding. Here's funding that's a great year for us, and I think we should revisit it. Thank you.
Okay, with that, we are adjourning. Good job, everybody.